They should be able to see us. They should be able to hear us. If anyone's in the chat, give us a little thumbs up, like, or something. This is Adventures in Lollygagging. We are playing Vaesen tonight, a brand new game with a bunch of our friends from other places. They'll get a second to introduce themselves. So Vaesen just released. If you're unfamiliar with it, it is a game by Free League, who have done other wonderful games like Alien and Tales from the Loop and Mutineer Zero, all that kind of stuff. A few of us have played some of their other games. We actually play Mutineer Zero on our channel at least 2 times a month usually. I know Jeremy's played some Mutineer Zero as well. So big fans here. So this is another variation. This is more like fairy tale 18th century or 1800s type fantasy mystery. So it should be kind of fun. But before we get too deep into that, why don't we just do a quick hello, who are you, why are you here, and what else do you do on the internet type of stuff. So, Bert.
Hey, wait, that's me.
Yeah, I'm going alphabetically.
I'm Bert. I do a little podcast called Of Steam, Steel, and Murder, which I'm the host and primary GM. We play lots and lots of different things. That's good.
Awesome. Chuck, tell us about Defenders of Cobalt.
Oh my gosh. Yes, I am Chuck. Defenders of Cobalt. We are a live play, actual play, whatever you call it. Twitch stream, YouTube channel. I guess we technically have a podcast. And we play lots of fun stuff like Dungeon Crawl Classics, Mutant Crawl Classics, Zweihander. What else? We got Hyperborea starting on Saturday. Not Saturday, Wednesday. Yeah. That's the wrong one. Wednesday, Hyperborea.
I just panicked.
And as I stare at Joe, we still run 5th edition. So yeah.
Okay.
That's us.
Joe, tell us something else about Defenders of Cobalt, since you also are part of that fine establishment.
That's pretty much all we do.
Okay.
Oh, we're putting out a zine.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
We've got other stuff we're working on. Although this is backwards, you're more involved in all that, so you can talk about it better.
Sure.
But, yeah, I'm just Joe. I run a few games and play more as a player.
Dan, tell us something else about Defenders of Cobalt. Little known trivia.
I'm Dan. I don't do much other than take up space, make bad dice rolls, and help us make mistakes at an alarming rate, which we're pretty good at.
Oh, thanks, Bert. All right. Jeremy, who are you?
Hi, I'm initially from Grim and Perilous. Cut my teeth on making some Zweihander stuff, and then I got adopted into the Kobolds for a lot of games. And now, unfortunately, you've made the mistake of inviting me to play games with you too. So I'm sorry.
Jeremy, did you notice that one of the first things you said was about teeth?
No.
I told you did. The first thing you cut your teeth out. I asked Jeremy because I didn't actually know what Jeremy did for a living last night in Spectaculars. I'm like, what do you do? Are you a dentist? And he's like, I think he's obsessed with teeth because he was mentioning Starfish with like weird human teeth last night, and he had the teeth armor that one time. Just plays a dentist and
lots of characters dealing with teeth.
I did a lot of research for that Dr. Cuspid guy, and I'm not going to waste it. I'm going to carry it over another game.
Yeah, I'm hoping you roll a dentist tonight. I think that'll make sense. Great. I don't know what the dentists were like in Scandinavia in like the 1800s.
I'm sure they're terrifying.
But yeah. And then Melissa, say something about what we do, and I'll fill in the rest.
So I am with Jeff, part of Adventures in Lollygagging. So we have a Zweihander podcast that releases every Monday, wherever you get podcasts, Adventures in Lollygagging. On our Twitch channel, we stream a couple different games. We've got a Mutineer Zero that's been going on. We usually play a couple times a month, like Jeff said. We've also been playing some other games. We just wrapped up a Heart campaign here with a few other folks that are with us tonight. We've been doing some Electric Bastionland, which has been a lot of fun getting into that game. And we're looking forward to doing something new. Also on Thursday nights, we are on twitch.tv/SweihanderRPG. And we're on our second campaign over there, The Unsettled Stem.
All right, that all took a really long time, so I'm tired. I feel like it was a good night. We're done. We can kind of move on. So let's get started. we haven't. This is a session 0, so I want to make it abundantly clear if you're in the channel right now or if you're watching this later on. This is a session 0. We may get to actual real play towards the latter half, depending on how quickly character creation goes. But we are going to be doing character creation because I want to make sure the character creation, the party, kind of works together. We'll talk a little bit about the overall campaign mechanic. One of the things in many of Free League's games is that they have some kind of campaign mechanism. In Mutineer Zero, for instance, you build an arc. In our Mutineer Zero Gen Lab game, we we run a resistance movement. So in Forbidden Lands, it's like a stronghold, and so here we are going to be getting hold of a castle, and you get to kind of upgrade a castle over the course of time, which is kind of cool. So we'll talk a little bit about that, get some of that kind of settled on, and just sort of the game in general. So the game itself, so just to sort of set up the expectation here, it's probably going to lean more mystery horror than like straight up combat stuff. So if you're like Joe and still playing a lot of D&D 5th edition, which is fairly combat heavy many of the times. We're not going to have, like, don't expect necessarily a fight just for the sake of having a fight every session. It might never happen. We might have entire mysteries where we don't have any fights whatsoever.
So just have hugs.
We'll just have lots of hugs. But it's going to be a lot of mystery, a lot of intrigue, a lot of looking for clues, things like that. The game itself is based around the principle that all of the fairy tale stuff that you can think of in this world, werewolves, trolls, giants, ghosts, stuff like that, it exists. Like it does, except not everyone can see it. So there are a limited, very special group of people known as like Thursday's Children, or a couple other things as well, who have what's called the sight. And so the players in the campaign all have the sight, which means they are capable of seeing Vaesen, who more often than not want to hide themselves. They try to either just make themselves completely invisible, make themselves look like other things that are in the environment, or they make themselves just look human and hide amongst the populace in whatever way. So this group, for whatever reason, is going to be tackling this idea of searching out Vaesen for a variety of reasons. Now, they are going to be part of what's called the Society. So the Society is just like this organization that historically has part hunted, part studied Vaesen, and they're kind of restarting that in a place called Uppsala in Scandinavia. And that's sort of the gist. So there will be combat, for sure. People will use guns and swords and all sorts of things, and some people might even die and stuff, but yeah. So that's the basic gist. Now, I mentioned that you guys are going to also have a headquarters that over time you will be building up. This headquarters also has mechanical bonuses and effects that it has. So over the course of the campaign, in between mysteries and things, you'll accrue certain points, and then you'll be able to invest those in kind of uncovering or building new areas of your castle, or making new contacts, or hiring new people to work for you in your castle. And all of that has some mechanical component. So we'll kind of get all into that. So anyway, that's the sort of basic overview. And so now let's get into actually making characters. So for those of you in Roll20, all of you should be on a page that has a whole mess load of tables. It's a gigantic page with just really a shitload. Like, it's pretty much what's there. There are a couple different ways you can make characters in Vaesen. You can just kind of pick what you want to do and allocate your stuff, and just sort of traditionally. But we're going to go and do one of the variants, because in the back of the book, there is this thing called life path tables. And it's a way for developing characters a little bit more in depth and with some greater flavor and sort of thematic changes from one to the next. So we're gonna do that. There's a lot of random rolling, and so let's dive into that. So if all of you, if you're in your Roll20s, the first thing what we got to do is we have to determine basically social class. So in Vaesen, there's 4 tiers of social class. There's poor, there's worker, there is burgher, and there is aristocrat. So this will what you end up randomly rolling for this will impact a few things. It'll impact some potential background bits that you could get from other tables. It also will impact your resource score. Resource is an abstract concept. Basically what it means is, what do you have access to? So if you have a very low resource score, you probably don't have a lot of good contacts, and you probably don't got a lot of money hanging around. This game doesn't have like gold coins. Like, we're not like, I have 700 gold coins, you have 500. It doesn't kind of work like that. It's a little bit more abstracted. And if you're an aristocrat, you have a higher resource score. So why don't all of you go ahead and hit a D66 for me, and we'll figure out who's aristocrat, who's poor, etc.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Poor.
There's some
Poor for
folks
days.
here.
Dan and I don't have much money.
And Chuck, I think. Chuck, you wrote an 11, right?
I know that was his test roll.
That was a test
Yeah.
roll.
Yeah,
Okay,
that
there
was
we
my
go.
test roll earlier. Yeah,
I was
I'm
gonna
at
say.
45.
Okay, because 11 is as low as it
Oh,
can get.
I got to add the 66.
I think you came in late when I mentioned this in Zoom, but in the macro
macros.
section, there is a D66
You
macro,
Check some boxes.
skill test macro, and a couple others you can use.
Okay, I got it added now. Awesome.
Oh,
Oh, wow.
what?
What
Jeremy
the
is
heck?
so rich. He's rich. He's
Wow,
running the whole
that is
thing.
We're
You're the
just
richest of
Jeremy's
the rich.
peasants.
Okay.
I went from planning to be a butler, but
Yeah. You're like
Got that doctor
You're a
money.
1%er.
You're like Alfred from Batman Begins when when like Bruce Wayne fakes his death and leaves him all the money. Like, yeah, you can take the rolls out if you like. All right, so looking at this, Joe with a 41, you are a burger, so you can go ahead on your character sheet for now, put 3 for resources. Then Bert, you are in the same boat, so same thing. Dan and Melissa are poor, so you only get 1 resource.
Yep.
Chuck, you are also in the burger class, so you can go ahead and put 3. And Mr. Moneybags, Jeremy, is there. Now,
delightful.
the next step, many of us are familiar with, I think everyone here has played Zweihander, right? Yeah, everyone here plays Zweihander. So there are upbringing components as well. I know it's similar terminology, slightly different variations, but it's kind of similar. But what happens is depending on the class you're in, there's a different upbringing result that you could potentially get. This upbringing dictates a few things. It actually gives you a sort of a starting point as you think about how you want to flavor your story, like your background, that kind of stuff. But it also establishes starting attributes and skills. You'll be allowed to tweak these, don't worry. But you can kind of see from the beginning like where you might want to go. Now, when you roll in a second on your various tables, there's going to be, because if you look right next to class, for instance, there's the upbringing poor table. There's a whole mess of stuff, like you could be a sickly, gang member, hard work, servant, crofter, or underground. These are all like the background stories that are flavoring your character. So actually read through the paragraph, because a couple things that you have to do on your character sheet is you have to figure out motivation, trauma, and dark secret. Motivation is your reason for joining the society and looking into Vaesen. So it's not a question of if you already are, you want to do this. So you figure out what your motivations are for doing that. Some of you, it might just be scientific curiosity. Some of you might be revenge. Who knows? Trauma specifically refers to the event that you had in your life that triggered your sight. So everyone has this ability to see Vaesen now. And so trauma is commonly like an interaction with a Vaesen, or maybe you just got kicked in the head by a mule, whatever it might be. Like that is the reason you have sight. And the dark secret is something you don't want others to know. I'm totally fine with if you want to keep this from other players, if you just want to keep that ultimately secret and not let anyone know, and we'll let it come out on the session itself. Or if we just want to shout out ideas, we can do that too. I don't really care. So all you can do can go ahead and roll a d6 now, and then you want to kind of take a look at your various tables. So there's upbringing for poor is Melissa and Dan, upbringing aristocrat for Jeremy.
Here I was hoping I could be sickly.
So
Apparently
in
we're
the
both
same
gang members. We're in the same gang.
Perfect. This is
already
great.
done.
This is great because you do have to tie characters together. So like this is like that'll be something that you'll have to do along the way. And so yeah, you guys were both gang members. Perfect. Let's see what else we got.
Beautiful.
I'm a party animal.
Okay.
It sounds accurate.
Your
Just
life.
like Joe in real life.
Oh yeah. You know me.
Your life was a dance. Wait, your life was always a dance or dinner around the corner, always a bottle of wine or a drunken pub crawl to help pass the time. You made lots of friends during your partying days and possibly an enemy or two. And look who's sickly. It's Jeremy who's sickly.
Oh, no way. He's sickly and
So
rich.
am I.
Oh my gosh, so many sickly people. So there we go. That could be a reason for why your characters know one another.
We were all hanging out in the same hospital.
Maybe it was the same hospital. Right? Perfect.
I've been social distancing.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, no.
Too real. Okay, so if you look to the right of the description of what you got, you'll also see a list of attributes and a list of skills. You can go ahead and record those. There's 4 attributes in the game: physique, precision, logic, and empathy. So physique is basically your ability to be strong and to endure like hardship and pain and toughness and that kind of stuff. Precision is like climbing, dodging, running fast, all that kind of stuff. Aiming. Logic is your ability to like use your brain, your rational mind to understand things. And empathy is your ability to emotionally connect with others. So they kind of mean what you think they mean. Then there's the skills. Skills are kind of tied in. They're always tied to a specific attribute. So whenever you roll a check in game, you're usually using both your skill and your attribute to make that roll. I'll explain that kind of stuff later. But you can go ahead and record those as well. And again, you'll have an opportunity to tweak some of these. Like you can. So this is just sort of where we're starting, and there's a couple other steps. And once we get through that, you'll have some opportunities. All right. So any who else have we got? What did you get, Bert? What did you end up
Boarding school.
with? Okay.
My trauma is apparently going to be mother and father issues.
They just left you there. Okay. Perfect. See, Joe's a party animal. Got 2 sickly people. We've got 2 gang members. Great.
Gang members.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And then Bert falls into the wrong crowd because of his mom and dad issues. He starts hanging out with sickly gang members. All right. So we've done.
I found the goth kids at school. Come on.
Jeez.
That's great.
So true. Okay, now on our sheet, if you can continue scrolling to the right, you'll see the next chart is a really big one. It's profession. And so this is where you figure out what you are. Now, there's a couple caveats to this. You're going to first be rolling a D66, but the way it's kind of a tier chart. So you can see that on the left-hand side of that chart, only the poor are listed up to a certain point, and only the workers are listed up to a certain point. So if you're an aristocrat, you have access to things like education. You might be able to become a professor, whereas somebody who is poor, unfortunately, might not be able to in Scandinavia in the 1800s, something like that. So not only that, but profession is just sort of like a variant on the archetype. So if you look, for instance, occultist, for instance, it's the 4th one down. That is the official archetype. So that's the thing that's actually in the book, has all the stuff and stats that you're going to get. But the profession is like you're a magician, right? But then scroll down a little bit further, there's another occultist, except this time you're a psychic instead. So it's still mechanically the same thing as an occultist, but it's just sort of flavoring your backstory a little bit different, so that so a psychic and a magician aren't quite the same thing. So what this also will do is, depending on which you roll, it'll modify your resources. So the starting resource that you had for your specific social class, you will get, unless you roll a vagabond for a second time, you'll get some sort of addition to it. Okay, so go ahead and roll. We'll see what everybody gets.
Boom. I did it. I knew it.
Did you really?
Vagabond.
Oh my
Double
God.
down.
Oh my God, Dan. What did you do to be so unlucky?
When you were saying, unless you get a Vagabond a second time, and I pointed it at myself.
Okay.
And it happens.
All right. Jeez.
I'm a doctor.
I don't know why I'm surprised.
Oh, I'm a doctor as well. So
Nobody should be surprised.
I'm a bohemian.
So we can't have the same archetypes, right?
You cannot have the same archetype. So what we could do now is you could either, if one of you, if you have the same, so we'll go through and like kind of shout out your archetypes. Someone could just pick one else that's in the same range, same relative range, or you could just reroll. So
Who else was the doctor? Do you want to be a doctor?
I'm a doctor. I'm not too attached to it. I can just re-roll.
Why don't we both reroll?
Let's do it. Sounds good.
I'm a doctor again.
It was meant to
I'm
be
an academic.
There we go. Okay. So now let's see.
Oh, I think you might have doubled up on Chuck now.
Yeah, this is
Is
the
Chuck
one.
also an academic?
Yeah, this is the one problem. What
I
do you?
roll again.
Okay.
You rolled first, Chuck, so you keep yours.
Okay.
Okay, that works. I'm a detective. Exact.
Perfect. That's what you wanted anyway.
There you go.
That's what you
Nailed it.
wanted. Done.
You roll long enough,
Third
you'll get exactly
Third
what
That's
you
time's
want.
the
exactly
charm.
That's it.
Forced
That's
you
it.
into what you deserved.
Okay.
That's
So
beautiful.
let's go through this. Dan, you're a vagabond. Bert, you're a
Mm-hmm.
detective. Bert, what is there a variant on it? Like, because it's private detective.
Private detective. Yep.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Okay. Very nice. Dan, you're a vagabond. Vagabond.
No one can be as poor as me.
You're the poorest of the poor.
Impressive.
You.
When art imitates life, is that it?
It's so
Shit.
Chuck, you're a hippie professor, right?
I sure should am. I'm a bohemian academic.
Just a bunch of Hawaiian shirts and flip flops. So
Yeah,
I have colleagues like that. Believe me,
Yeah. I bring my dog in, let it sleep in the office.
for sure, for sure. Office hours are kind of an optional thing. You know? You don't really have to do.
If
those
I
types.
really like you, I'll hand out my CD that me and my colleagues made. It's nothing but beach rock, so you'll like
true.
it.
Joe, what did you end up with?
Doctor.
Okay, so you're sticking with doctor, just regular.
Yep.
Okay, Jeremy,
Doctor.
I'm an author.
an author. Okay, you're a writer.
Nice.
Nice. Okay,
I'll be Setter Kane.
and Melissa, what did you get?
I am a preacher priest.
Okay. I was secretly hoping Melissa would become like a doctor therapist because that's what she does in real life, like a psychiatrist. That would be
That would
perfect.
be ironic.
Yeah. Okay.
I get to role play.
It's a mega vagabond. I like that. A
Mega.
mega bond. All right.
I think
I'm here
that just translates as hobo.
I'm here to mooch off of everybody.
So make sure that you adjust your resources score. Okay. So
Done.
So Dan, what's 0 plus 0?
Hey, I get one.
Okay. Fair
Just
enough.
one,
All right.
and it stays one.
Okay. Now, the other thing we should do now is we should, before we keep going with our rolls, there's stuff that you're going to get. Actually, no, let's do life events first. Let's do life events. So if you scroll down, you will notice that there are a bunch of other tables, and these tables will correspond to the letter that was next to your archetype. So for instance, Jeremy, you said you were an author-writer, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So writer is G. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to roll a d6 on life event table G. And so all of you do the same thing on your respective tables.
All right. Here we are.
There we go.
This
My
is going to
six.
give you...
I got a dog.
There you go. This is going to give you extra skill points, and this is going to give you equipment, starting equipment.
Just be it, my dog. Now my character is gonna have to be the jerk.
And I'm definitely going to put a skateboard somewhere in there so you can go ahead and put the dog on the skateboard.
Okay.
So if
perfect.
you
and a jean
get
jacket for him.
a point in a skill you already have, does it increase it, or
Yes, it
does it
does.
stay the same?
It
does.
goes up.
Okay.
Yep, goes up.
Oh, wonderful. I'm a vigilant detective because I've got nothing
You
better to do than
record,
stare
I
at
also
people.
got vigilance.
Do you record the category anywhere, or just the
Yeah, so the encounter with
just the
Vaesen
equipment
thing,
and skills?
equipment and skills you want to record because it's mechanically relevant. The other
Okay.
stuff is more, can you devise a dark secret from it? Can you devise a motivation from it? Can you devise a trauma from it? Or a PC connection? So if you can do
There's
something...
this English upstart by the name of Holmes that is my rival.
I like it.
I got
Fantastic.
myself a good friend.
All
I
right.
got myself
boy.
some booze. I got liquor as my
Oh, nice.
equipment.
Wow. The
I got a good
driest
boy.
person here, too, is getting booze.
I found true love, and so now I write trashy romance novels.
Aww.
That's just delightful.
Apparently, because I have a rival, I get knuckle dusters.
Okay.
Oh,
Nice.
hey, you got to have some way to deal with them.
Yeah, there's a guy I work with that I wouldn't mind clocking down. I'll be honest. It's
There you
okay.
go. I got some books.
Books. Good. So I'm looking at life event table A. So Dan, you got, I take it you got four-legged friend.
I sure did.
You saved a
I'm kind of
puppy from
excited.
certain death. I think you're the hero of the story. I think that's what this
Oh
is.
no.
Sounds familiar to Saturday, right?
Yeah, doesn't it? It's great. Okay, who rolled on B? Did anybody roll on B? No servants. Who rolled on no hunters? Any occult? We don't have any occultists. No officers. What do we have? Priests. So Melissa, what'd you get again?
I got the top one.
Doubt. You
got
experienced
doubt.
something traumatic that made you doubt the existence of God. Perhaps you lost someone in a terrible disease, etc., etc. I like that your equipment is liquor. That's wonderful.
It's great.
Let's see,
Okay, I've got a
Doctor.
big dark secret from this too already.
What was yours, Joe? What'd you get?
I got Fine Wines, the socialite.
Okay. You
The other
mingled
dry
with high
person.
society, made powerful friends, and lived a life of luxury.
Mine is
Yeah.
liquor in a brown bag. Yours is fine wine.
Fantastic. It's just two different kinds of
Awesome.
drunks.
We got a tall can in a brown bag.
And we got the
Yes.
sweetheart for Jeremy. Okay. This is sounding great. Okay, so we've got you've got your equipment, you've got your slight modifications to your skills. So now what we get to do is we get to decide. This is purely decision making. Now, this is true for pretty much a lot of the games of Free League, is that they actually take age into account when it comes to things like skill points and attributes. So generally speaking, the younger you are, the better your attributes, like your pure basic abilities are, but the less trained you are. So you have like usually more higher attributes, but lower skills. And it's the inverse. If you're older, you tend to have better skills, but slightly lower attributes. And so now what we do is we kind of go through a step. So you get to choose. Do you want to stay young? If you want to stay young, you're done. And then we'll just hang on and we'll come back to you in a minute. If you want to be middle-aged, you can be middle-aged. If you want to be old, you can be old. If you
Can I
are...
roll a D3.
Absolutely. I'm all
What
for that.
year is this based in?
So it's specifically I think it's like the 1800s. Let me get the...
Ooh,
Let me see if
okay,
we have...
so you're old at 30.
Let me
10,
see if I have the exact
20 or 30s.
year for you. I'm not sure if I have the exact year.
I
But yeah,
hope I.
Was there an age chart somewhere?
it's the 19th century,
Oh.
so yeah,
There's
1800s.
no
I just
I don't
table
have
for
it.
saw
it.
the
That's why I
age
said we'll
chart.
just make one up, perhaps.
Yeah,
I was
you can
gonna
just roll a
say.
d6 if you want to make it random, or you can just pick whichever floats your boat.
Well, what are the deficits for being old and very
Okay.
old?
So
Perfect.
if you were going to
I'm an old
go...
poor person.
If you decided that you wanted to go middle age, you will have to lower an attribute of your choice by 1, but you get to re-roll on the life events table, or roll a second time, which means you'll get additional skills and additional equipment. If you go old, you have to lower a second attribute, but again, actually I think that's it. You just lower an attribute of your choice. So, but you
It's
still...
on page 18. So
Yeah.
young is 17 to 25, middle aged is 26 to 50, and old is 51 and up.
Oh, middle age. I'm going to lower my empathy because, I don't need to be relatable.
And so then
I'm gonna
roll
roll
a...
a
It's a
D100
D66.
Yes.
until I get over 50.
If you choose to be
23.
middle-aged, if
Done.
anyone chooses to be middle-aged, go
I'm
ahead
going
and
to.
lower one of your attributes by 1, and then re-roll a d6 on your life event table.
And you get 2 extra skill points.
You'll get 2 extra skill points and another piece of equipment, and another life event happened to you that you can potentially pull from for like.
So same table.
Same
So whatever table letter you were. Okay.
I rolled to be ancient as fuck.
Okay, so if you do that, you have to. You are, so you middle-aged.
I too have liquor.
Oh, so I now have forbidden love.
Oh,
So I did not find true love. I have forbidden love.
Maybe you did
Wow.
find true love, but it's forbidden.
Could
That's what
double
it
down.
is. It's like Romeo and Juliet or something. I don't know. I hate that play. If you're old, Dan, you have to lower a second attribute.
Okay.
Okay. So anyone stay young? Is anyone still young? Anyone a young, sprightly?
Wait, empathy is definitely going
I
down.
can
if I'm
do
old.
middle age. So middle age is you drop 1 and then roll again on life.
Exactly. And remember that the life gives you
Okay.
extra skills and extra equipment.
All right,
Okay.
I've lowered 2 stats. What else do I do for being old?
Re-roll on the life events table.
I changed my mind. I'm going to lower
Just one time?
precision
Yeah, that's
and
fine.
keep my empathy.
I hope it's another
That's
6.
what I did.
It
I
is.
lowered
have
precision.
2 dogs.
There's still a couple steps that you're going to be able to tweak some things, so it's all good.
Stand
2
down.
dogs.
I
have
have
two
2
dogs?
dogs.
Do you really? I think it's great. This is wonderful.
This is fantastic.
You gotta
They
look
raised
at that.
both.
You could have 2
They
dogs.
raised
Do I only get to roll one more time in life events?
Yeah, it doesn't
being
seem that-
old.
I'm taking a look. You may start the game. Let's see.
I'm turning into
Repeat
Gran
step
Torino.
4. No, yeah, you get to roll. You get to roll again.
Get another dog.
Oh,
So-
please,
Come
let it be
on.
another dog. Oh, no. Okay, well, this checks out at least. I was arrested.
It was a dog fighting ring. That's why you have all those dogs.
Oh, no, it's
jeez.
probably for the person I killed to save a dog.
I like to think Dan
Oh,
was
man.
raised by wolves, and that these aren't actually dogs, but they're wolves.
Siblings. Did you say we get an extra resource if we're middle-aged?
No, you get to roll.
okay.
If you go middle-aged, you drop an attribute, and you roll again on the life
And you-
events
yeah,
table.
yeah, got that. Okay.
If you go old, you lower 2 attribute points, and you roll 2 more times on the life event table.
Just middle-aged.
I really just wanted another dog.
Did you get it? Did you get it? Did you get it?
No, I got a 1.
Ah, it's a shame. Okay. So who? Anyone stay young?
I did.
Okay. So Jeremy, you're a young, successful academic
Just
novelist,
full of hope. So
Mhm.
happy.
writing trashy romance novels.
It's a young romantic traveling the countryside,
Sounds
living
beautiful.
the best life.
Sounds beautiful. And how many people went old? Anybody go
Just
old?
me.
Just Dan, and everybody else is
Just me.
middle aged. Okay. All right. So the next step, this is where you get to kind of customize some of your stuff. Now you can go ahead and you can move 1 attribute point. You can move it. Move an attribute point as you see fit. You can for your archetype's main skill, or excuse me, main attribute. You can go to 5, but nothing else can go to 5. So if you want to take a look at what yours are, that's earlier. You got to go earlier in the book to like previous pages.
Page 20.
So let me pull that up. I have the PDF up on my computer on my tablet, and I have the physical book next to me.
So you said 5 is the max?
5 is the max for your profession's main attribute.
And how do we know what that is again?
It's on the archetype page. So it is starting on page. Let's see, what are you, Melissa? You're a priest?
Priest, yeah.
31 for you. So yours is empathy. Your main skill is empathy, or excuse me, your main attribute is empathy. Your main skill is observation.
Okay.
What is a detective's?
Let me get it for you.
Probably logic.
So, what do you mean by like move it up to 5 though? Do you take points from other?
It's literally move, like trade. You don't have to do anything if you don't want to, but if you want to move from one space to another, you can. So if you like want to reassign physique to precision, you can go ahead and do that
Okay.
once.
Okay.
Bert, main attribute is logic, and the main skill is investigation, as we would expect. Anybody else? I have it up.
I'm looking up what's academic.
What's a vagabond
All right,
supposed to be good at?
Let's start with
Logic.
academic.
Oh, my logic's already a 5. So I'm cool.
Logic is, and then learning is your main skill. And then vagabond. Vagabond's main attribute is physique, and your main skill is manipulation.
Which I have none of.
Okay.
Somehow.
So what
So
can
what
we
is-
do with this again? We can.
What
add
does the
one?
main skill do?
Oh no,
Yeah,
your
sorry.
vagabond is a traveling wrestler. That's what this
Oh.
is.
Oh,
I also have 2 physique right now.
Main skill is going to be relevant with the next step.
Okay.
So you said we could switch something out for our main skill as well?
Your attribute. So let's just do attributes for now. So attribute,
Yeah.
you can move 1 point of one attribute to another attribute if you want to, but only your profession's main attribute can go to 5.
Okay.
So precision dropped. That's apparently my dump stat for logic of 5.
Okay.
So I have 1, 3, 5,
I don't know what
5.
precision does for you.
It's
How you shoot.
dexterity. Yeah.
you can only have 1 5.
You can only have
Only
1
your main.
5.
You can only have your
Okay.
main. Only your main attribute can be 5. You should probably
Okay.
put that extra 5 into the one that's 1, so you have 2 in that. It's good to
Yeah.
have a mix.
Like Sickly gave me.
So
a
even
5
if your upbreeding had you at 5 in one of the stats,
Yeah, you get the. This is where we
can't.
get to move it around. So like the stuff that you
Okay.
rolled in the beginning is modifiable.
okay.
So I would definitely suggest not to have any ones. If we did the default way of making characters, like you're not even allowed.
Mm-hmm.
Like this way, I think you're allowed, but it's a little dicey at times. Okay, so then the next step is now you can Now you can kind of do the exact same thing you just did with attributes, except now you can do it with skills. So you can spend, but this time it's actually just spending 2. It's not even trading. You can spend 2 extra skill points as you see fit.
Oh,
Okay.
nice.
Anywhere?
Now
And
there
nothing
is
can go higher than 3.
nothing can go higher. The only thing that can go to 3 is your profession's main skill. Nothing else can go above 2. If you want to know what any of them mean, if they're not self-explanatory, let me know. I can.
What is vigilance?
So vigilance is a lot like awareness. In Zweihander, kind of opposes stealth. You can use it for tracking, like if you're trying to follow tracks, stuff like that.
Okay.
If you're doing like a stakeout, you can kind of like try to interpret what you're watching, for instance, and then that could potentially translate to a bonus later on. So it's just sort of keeping alert.
I'm
Okay.
dumping all 2 points into manipulation because I have none of it.
Manipulation is like flirting, bribing, negotiating, haggling.
Ironically, I have a 4 in vigilance and a 3 in investigation.
So you
I'm
can't have
I'm a people watcher.
threes if it's not your main stat.
So you can go up to, you can spend 2 extra skill points as you see fit, up to 3 in your profession's main skill. So you can't spend the new stuff to go 3 or higher.
Okay.
So if we
but
already had
a
3 from a combination of other things,
Yeah.
it's fine.
That's what
Okay.
that's how I'm interpreting it.
Okay.
Fantastic. I'm gonna have 3 inspiration and 5 empathy. This is great.
That's like 8 dice.
Yes.
Yeah,
I have
jeez.
I'm such a happy young man.
3 observation and 5 empathy.
So basically, when you roll a skill test in this game, and this is all free league, is you notice in the character sheet how each of the skills is tagged to a specific attribute, and so this is a D6 dice pool system, and you formulate your dice pool by adding the value you have for your attribute and the value you have for whatever skill I'm calling for a test. So you just add them together, and so in the case of Jeremy's case, he had 8, so that means he literally rolls 8 D6s for his test. If any of those are a 6, you succeed. That's it. If you have extra 6s, like extra successes, you can often do other stuff on top of it, and depends on the situation. But there's a lot of cool things that you can potentially do with extra successes. Sometimes there might be a higher difficulty for if you're trying to do something particularly extraordinary, and I might say, okay, in this situation, I'm going to ask for 2 successes. So there could be things like that. So
How is vigilance different than observation?
okay, so observation, let me pull it up, is more about people specifically. It's scrutinizing them, and it's trying to kind of understand like what they're thinking, feeling. It's like insight from D&D.
Okay. That makes sense. And I guess inspiration is another one.
Doesn't care how
question
anybody
about.
feels.
Inspiration is basically medicine, but it's for the brain. So in this game, you have you can take mental damage and you can take physical damage. We'll go over that shortly, but like inspiration allows you to potentially heal mental conditions of certain kinds. Inspiration also helps you with like understanding pieces of art and stuff like that. So there's other ways that you can apply it in knowledge-based situations. All right. So, how's everybody doing? Are we good to move?
Good there.
For the equipment, if we're looking at the page of the book that talks about what we are, and there's a bunch of equipment listed, do we not go off of that list because
Ignore
we went
it.
off of the rolls? Okay.
Yep.
That's what I thought.
Yep. Okay. Ignore that. Ignore resources as well because you already established your resources.
Okay.
So here's the next part. This might take a little time. So the next part, you can choose to do this randomly if you want, but if you're on your archetypes page, so right now I have Vagabond open, you can see that there's motivation, trauma, and dark secret. This is also on your character sheet. Now, They have some suggestions, but these are not things that you have to choose. So you could, if you wanted to, roll a d3 and randomly pick from their suggestions for your specific archetype. So for Vagabond, for instance, the 3 options are avenging my family, exposing supernatural secrets, being liked. Or I'm totally fine with this because this isn't mechanical. This is really about stitching together a character that makes sense at this point. If you just want to pick something from that list, go for it. Or if there's just something that made sense based upon the background rolls that you made, that you can just go off the board. Like this is not, you can totally create your own. So things like motivation, trauma, dark secret, all of that you could just kind of come up with now. So it's up to you. If you want to randomly roll, if you want to pick from their options or make something up yourself, inspired by some of those background and life events, this is what you should be putting in now. Now, the motivation, so I'm going to keep talking while they're doing stuff. The motivation specifically is like, why are you doing this? Why are you getting involved in the society? Why do you want to do this? So if you're trying to avenge your family, maybe your family got killed by a Vaesen and in mysterious supernatural circumstances, and now you're trying to figure out what happened, right? The trauma is specifically how your sight was triggered, which might come up at some point in a mystery, especially if like you saw a Vaesen, for instance. Like the Vagabonds one's really dark. One of the dark secrets is a Vaesen kills anyone I love. Whew, that's pretty harsh. Yeah. Okay. But that could also come into play as I stitch together like the mysteries and the overarching storyline of the campaign and stuff like that. And then again, dark secret, we can make that as secretive as you want. Like if you want this to be something that the other players, other PCs don't know, I'm cool with that. I still need to know it because it's one of those things that I have to tap on. Like I'm as the GM, I'm supposed to tap on that kind of stuff to kind of force you to make decisions. Also, the way that you accrue XP in this game is not by just like killing stuff and this has like a set amount of XP. It's by performing certain things. And at the end of every session, we basically ask questions. So things like, did you participate in the session? If so, you get an XP. Did you confront any Vaesen? If so, you get an XP. Did you identify a previously unknown Vaesen? You get an XP. A couple of these have to do with your trauma and your dark secret. So like one of the questions is, were you affected by your dark secret? And if you are, then you get an XP for that. So like not only am I putting you in rough situations, you're still getting a benefit from it in the fact that you're getting XP. So other things like, did you risk stuff to protect other people? That's where the PC relationships come into play. So these things do have somehow like a mechanical trick to them, especially towards the end. Hopefully that made sense.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, I'm going to be super professorial today. This is me in one of my classes.
Yay!
It's awful.
No, that's a failing grade.
It's awful.
We'll make sure to fill out an evaluation for the course afterwards.
Did you guys go into rate my professor really quick?
Did you let us out early?
Can I get a chili pepper? I really want a chili pepper on my professor. You guys know what rate my professor is? It's the worst thing ever.
Yeah,
I hate it.
I've heard of that.
It's terrible.
What's the relationship of the society to the Vaesen world? Are they like trying to control it or study it? Are they opposed to Vaesen? Is it all humans?
Okay, so the
are
society has largely been vacated for a while. It's been out of the loop. Like it's been run down. You're literally taking over an abandoned castle that there was one member who's like, we'll get into the story of that later if we have time. But the castle that you're taking over is a former headquarters for a council of society members. You guys are like re-energized in doing it. So there's that component. Others in the society, there's, historically some people wanted to fight Vaesen. Some people wanted to just understand them. So like that's part of like the exposition, like the conflict in the background that might come to play in certain situations. So there's also potentially other organizations in addition to the society that might want to do other things as well. So, but you all will get to kind of dictate your, whatever your mandate is. Like, is your mandate to just understand them and be peaceful resolutions? Is your mandate to kind of like punish them and kill them or banish them? That's kind of up to you guys.
Do we know what like their past history was? Like if we were to meet someone and they're like, oh, you're with the society, like would that be a positive or negative usually with just like an average?
It would depend on the individual person.
Okay.
Right off the bat, like our opening scene will involve a former society member that you all have been in contact with. So you all have been in contact with a woman named Lynette Ethel Kent.
Okay.
And she is like the previous caretaker of the headquarters. She's handing it over to you. So it's not necessarily a good thing or a bad thing. It could be a little bit of both.
How well informed are the general populace to the supernatural that they actually exist?
Not at all.
None.
Like there's obviously
folklore.
Yeah. Obviously there's folklore, but like the idea of like Vaesen is it's secretive. So like you're supposed to keep it secret. Like Vaesen want to stay secret. Certain like villages and stuff like that, like way on the outskirts, might be more open and understanding or something like that. But definitely superstition. But whether or not that superstition is justified or real, they don't know for sure. Okay. So then the last thing you get to do, and I have to completely show that I was wrong a minute ago, is you get to actually pick one extra piece of equipment from that list that Melissa was mentioning. So all of you on your pages, you see equipment. So Vagabonds,
Okay.
you get one extra one that you can add. So I'll say this about equipment, by the way.
What page was that on?
For you, Dan, it's 34. That's Vagabond. So with this game, equipment is this is your starting equipment, so you're going to always have it unless you lose it at some point. But you're going to have
another pet dog.
There you go. You got your other dog. But the way the structure of a mystery works is there's a preparation phase, and so usually the mysteries that you're investigating aren't next door. They're in the countryside or somewhere else, and you're kind of chasing them down. And so part of it is like preparing for travel. This game is about the journey, and it's about preparing to go to that location. And so your resources score allows you during the preparation phase to potentially get other equipment. So it could be equipment that's special. Like say you're going to a very mountainous region. Now you might want to get things like rope and grappling hooks and climbing gear and whatnot. If you're going to other places, like if you're having to go to an island or something like that, you might have to get a boat or pay for certain services. So your resources score will allow you to modify that per mystery, but then it's like kind of recycled. So every time we do a preparation phase, you're kind of like recycling new equipment.
It's gonna take a long time to get 3 skateboards.
I don't know. We'll see. Okay. So I think that should be all of
talents. I noticed that the random generator doesn't do talents.
Okay, so that's the other thing. You can either randomize it if you want. Just do a D6 and pick one of the starting talents. So there's going to be 3 talents in that small box on the page for your archetype. You can just randomize it if you want, or you can just look them up. So you pick one of those 3. Over the course of the game, the campaign, you'll get XP. You can spend XP on either increasing skill ranks or getting new talents. So if you don't have a talent, so if like there's 2 you really like, don't worry, you'll be able to get it at some point. So keep that in mind.
All right.
You don't actually have 3 dogs, do you, Dan?
I do.
Holy. Okay.
I got 2 guard dogs, and I picked a pet dog as my class equipment.
Is that like your purse dog? Like you put in the bag? The other 2 are
guards. It's gonna be the little tiny one.
I'm gonna want names for them.
2 Rottweilers and a Shih Tzu.
And I'm gonna want breeds, temperaments.
All right. I'll have to do some thinking on it here.
Awesome.
All right. Okay, so yeah, there's talent. So you get 1 talent for now, but you will get more. There are some talents are archetype specific, and then others are general. But I still think later on you can actually start buying from, if I recall correctly, you can actually buy from other people's other archetypes. Mm-hmm. I'll double check that later, but I'm pretty sure that's right. All right, let's see. Doing my checklist over here. All right, so The next thing we need to do, this is all very important, is PC relationships. So every PC has to have a relationship with another, like with all of the other people in your group. So you guys get to control some of this, obviously, but just for the ease of running the game and the notion that this is kind of a short run, like a 10 session type of thing, however long it's going to take us, assume you all know each other and you all come together to and you can kind of figure that out. So like, it's not like you're meeting each other for the first time ever. Some of you might know each other only for the last couple of weeks. Some of you might have been in a game together when you were growing up. So whatever it might be. But you should be looking to like figure out how you can be connected to everybody else in the group. There's sections for this. You probably all are going to have to add an extra line if it lets you. If not, hopefully the Roll20 character sheet will whenever they decide to do that. There are suggestions for which your relationships could be on your archetype page if you want to pull from those. Or, I mean, we rolled our backgrounds in front of each other, so pull from that.
So I see for the writer, one of the suggestions is you inspire me. This vagabond with 3 dogs, you inspire me.
Okay.
Magnificent.
Excellent.
So there we go.
Question back on the talents. How many are we supposed to pick?
1 for now. Yeah, 1 at start.
1 for now. In the list it gave you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So I guess we need to know what the characters' names are so we can.
Yeah. Do we have names? Do you guys have names for your characters?
I have a name.
Yes.
All
I
right,
have not
Chuck.
picked one yet, but
What do you got?
I am Professor Anders Jacobson.
Got it. I'm probably just gonna put Anders on next week's.
That's fair. Totally fair.
Jeremy, did you say you have one?
Caius Roding.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Got it. Who else has got a name?
I don't have a name yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Oh,
also
I love it.
something that your archetype page has examples if you want to do that.
I know, and I didn't like any of them.
I just Googled Scandinavian names.
That works.
Yeah.
That's usually what I would do with. more
There
time
actually
thinking about.
is a chart. I could actually bring up a chart. It's more for
Is it name
NPC
chart?
creations, but like
There you go.
I could bring it up for you if you want.
there's a name Dagmar there. I think I'm just gonna call it Dogmoore.
Beautiful.
That's it.
Right, so I'm going to go with Gunnar Arrowwood.
Ooh, I like it.
Ooh.
Dog Dogmoor. Dogmoore.
All right, so Dan is Dogmoore. Two O's for Dogmoore or one?
Two O's.
Okay, Dogmoore. So on the nose.
How could he possibly dog more?
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
I think we lost
Bert
somebody.
broke.
Oh,
We're moved.
Yep, sorry.
No
Yeah,
worries.
I lost connection there.
Okay, Chuck and I are the only ones that are still in original spots.
Yeah.
Well, we'll have to do the mute trick.
So you all,
either he'll or that really rearranges.
I'll rearrange you guys. So while I am doing that, you guys should figure out your relations. Should talk to each other.
So I'm a professor, an academic type, actually studying supernatural shit.
What's your character's name?
Anders.
Sure, you're gonna look this up.
All right, I got my name. I'm
Oh.
Yürgan Leinbaldersön.
Fucking
Oh,
Christ,
no.
Joe.
Why'd you do that to us, Joe?
What?
Jürgen.
You have to paste that somewhere
Jürgen.
so we can copy and paste
Jürgen
it.
Leinbaldersön.
Jürgen's
I'm
not
just-
bad.
Gonna call you Joe.
You're good.
That's fine.
Yeah, again. If any Free League people or Free Yürgan Swedish company watches this, I apologize for
Yeah.
any attempts I make at Scandinavian accents. It's probably all going to end up at some point turning back into like British or Australian or like country.
Just go Russian. Russian's good for everything.
Just
I
gonna
am
turn on to
big
Jürgen
farmer.
on my
I can
nerves.
do Russian accent. Yes.
I can do Russian accent. And then we talk in Russian about the feet. Just for Jeremy.
Oh,
Please
jeez.
don't.
Just tweaking this a little bit more. We're almost there.
So what were your motivations? We can figure this out.
Yeah.
I gotta get all the good boys.
You just
Gotta
want to
catch
get
'em
more
all.
dogs.
You're
More
just a
dogs.
Pokemon trainer. Just
Yeah.
terrible Pokemon trainer.
All right, so mine was uncovering the truth. I imagine I've come to you to get specific
Yeah,
information.
that sounds
at some
good because
point.
that fits. So you and I might be colleagues because we both, if you're investigating stuff with the supernatural, that would fall right in with what I need to gather. And my skill is bookworm, so I get bonuses when looking up information in books.
I'm researching a book, and I actually happen to be a strange investigator because my automatic ratting talent lets me use my inspiration in place of investigation. It's kind of like the whole like if I were doing this is how I would approach it. So it's like theoretical investigation.
What's your
Okay.
character's name?
Caius.
Caius.
How's that spelled?
You know, I'm spelling it like the band, right?
Don't know.
Kyuss. Yes. Oh.
It's an I think, right?
Is
Caius.
there an I in there?
K-A-I-U-S.
He's a Redding. I've got a long-standing tradition of all Reddings have CR names. I don't know why.
So
For
maybe
initials. Got it. I didn't see where the CR was. I was like, wait, CR. Initials. Got it.
so
My
Bert and
name's
I
Secret.
know.
So
My
Bert
name is,
and Chuck are together.
You said Sigrid or Secret?
Sigrid.
well, spelled Sigrid, but I think it's pronounced a little more on the
Okay.
Okay.
I don't.
Sigrid.
Sigrid.
Might help if we just put our names in Roll20 real quick so we all know.
Yeah.
Mm.
Dan, that was brilliant.
Every now and then.
Dogmoore. Yeah, if only we actually use these various text chats that we have access to right now.
That is Joe How.
Wait, with a Y? What?
Yes.
Not a J?
Of course,
Nope.
Joe.
Joe goes out of his way to make the most ridiculous names possible.
Yes, he does.
I don't know if the font I'm using actually has umlaut. It's got to have umlauts because I'm using one of the fonts from the book, so it's got.
It's got 2 dots over the U and the O.
Yeah.
Then there are umlauts.
I don't even know how to do the umlauts. I wish I did.
I don't
was-
either. I
Copy
just
and paste.
Googled it.
Just
What was
copy and
Secret's
paste.
profession?
I
That's
am
how I do
a
umlauts.
preacher. Priest.
Mm.
But I was in a gang with
Yeah.
Joe. Dan at some point.
Yeah.
And you went straight, sort of.
Probably when I went to jail.
But now you're questioning God.
I,
She
took care
found
of my-
religion after
You took care of my dog, so I went to jail.
Yeah.
So my
I'm
character
imagining-
is a. Oh, keep going.
oh, I was just gonna say I'm imagining sort of present day, more of like the biker preacher type.
Oh,
Like
okay.
didn't necessarily start out that way, but that's kind of where things are
Yeah.
at now.
You know
So
what?
whatever the 19th century version of that would be.
Right.
I'm
scared into religion. That's-
You
One of
may
the
just have to
options the
decide
writer-
to not have a relationship with one
Hmm.
character.
Gotta have a relationship with everybody. Or Jeremy, what do you got?
I was gonna say one of the
Holy
writer's
shit.
options is you frighten me. I think the weird biker preacher. I think you scare me
That
a
makes
little bit.
sense.
I'm like this sickly little writer, and you're this super intense preacher. You kind of scare me a little bit.
Sure.
What's your
works.
character's name, Melissa?
Sigrid. Sigrid.
I think I have a skeptical but trying to understand relationship with the priest
Our
as
characters are
you know,
on a
believing in a
secret
higher
stretch.
power.
Sure.
Maybe I could, Sigurd. Maybe I know you in research and stuff. I'll go hit up priest to see how it meshes with Christian folklore stuff.
I got a
Maybe we
fair
can
one.
sort of have that, like, we definitely do not disagree on things, but we enjoy having conversations about all of our disagreements.
Yeah, that's it.
So
Yeah.
what are we like supposed to record as the relationship? Just
Quick
like,
line. It's like a quick line. It should be like a short sentence. There are examples on your character on your archetype page that you can pull from if you want. You can just grab those or just come up with other ones if you like.
Okay.
Hey, Jeremy,
So
how
it's supposed to
wild
be like a person and then how you're
Mhm.
related to them.
Exactly.
Just quickly.
how wild is your author? Do you indulge in a 7% solution now and then?
I think it's possible, and I was actually gonna say I think he he's fascinated by you being a real detective, and he really wants like he's really trying to like you're the real thing, but he kind of tries to investigate things, but like you're the real detective.
Maybe you're researching him. It's like that TV show Castle. He's like the
Oh,
source
there
of
you go.
your new character, a detective in your new novel / romance. It's detective / romance.
And that can
genre.
be how I met you as well. Is
Don't worry,
Yeah.
Anders. You scratch my back and I scratch yours.
I was just gonna say maybe I've hired you before to collect specimens for me.
Mhm.
Like, hey, I need some rats to do experiments on.
Joe, what was your profession again?
I am a doctor. So
Oh,
Have you dropped your name in the chat yet, Bert?
Yürgan.
I did. Yeah.
I was thinking I would have one with Dan Dogmoore. Maybe we were friends, and you're always seeming to need medical attention of some kind, most likely. And then my relationship would be I spill like too many secrets and things, just as I'm doing my work, patching you up.
so you're like a street doctor kind of thing.
Yeah.
So maybe
Well, so my motivation
A
is
friend indeed, or a friend indeed is a friend indeed.
they're wanting to get into like the Vaesen side of things, to use the supernatural world to try and better their doctoring, and also like bring good to both sides. Maybe some skills I learned from patching up a deer person will transfer over.
Test them out on my poorness.
Yeah.
Joe, was your
Have you
character
tried
wealthy?
using one person?
They were burger.
Okay.
that's where I was too.
So
So
would
maybe
your-
I'm
Would your
sorry.
doctor be
resources.
open? Would your doctor be open to the priest bringing some down on their luck
Yeah.
folks for
say.
treatment to you that we don't necessarily talk about?
Yeah.
I think my relationship with the doctor would be, here, doctor, I need to see some corpses that have been strangled in different ways.
That's probably the exact same
That's
reason
in
why
this
I
room.
would go to you as well.
Yeah, that's good. I like it.
I need you to do autopsies for me every now and then.
That's how I sort them.
What was
Are you
your
open
job,
to
Jeremy,
taking a
again?
Hook up to somebody that may or may not indulge from time to time.
He's a writer.
Who are you asking that of?
The doc. Sometimes writers need a muse, and a doctor would be very helpful in curing things.
I think I've got feigned gratitude towards the rich.
I have you down as a drug buddy.
Perfect.
Good.
I mean, the doctor provides the drugs, possibly.
Best kind
How
of
would I-
doctor.
So are the relationships two-way? Like,
Yeah,
They
it's
don't have to be
not
the same
the same.
thing, but they should be connected. They can be the same thing, obviously, since if you're like drinking buddies, both of you can just write drinking buddies. Like, that's fine.
okay.
What would my relationship be with the professor? That's the question.
Oh, it's easy. Like I said, I occasionally hire you to gather specimens for me.
Yeah, you have
Like,
dogs,
hey.
rat catcher.
Yeah, here's a bottle of whiskey and a couple of coins. I need
right.
8 rats and a raccoon and a
I'm
possum.
imagining like the psych
your Patsy,
experiments where you like need people to like participate in the experiments
Yep,
for
I'm his
like
I
Free
am
lunch.
not going to share my dark secret, but you're not far.
Okay.
I'm Anders Patsy then.
So how we
Aaron
looking?
Rudder.
Anybody
Think I got
still
a
need some?
relationship with everybody?
I need to figure out a relationship with Jeremy and Bert.
Okay.
So I know Jeremy is intrigued. but
I'm
concerned.
terrified by you. Like, I don't know, like between just your demeanor. I don't know why. Like the whole like drinking priest, like
So you're a vagabond preacher. Are you like a street preacher?
Essentially, like I'm definitely not a rich church, but more of a street preacher, taking care of folks that are kind of criminal types, possibly.
Okay.
This guy.
The relationship, by the
was-
way, doesn't have to necessarily be like historical. It could just be like an emotional connection, like really suspicious of this person or can't stand this person, like or probably shouldn't be that far because you still want to be able to work with them, but but it could be something like that. Even just something I'm intimidated by them. That's honestly enough. Like that's enough to go on for now.
I could definitely see that my character might have long theological discussions with you, but coming from an atheistic viewpoint, and you could be trying to convince me that there are higher powers.
Yeah.
So you, me, and Chuck, the three of us, have these conversations where you really try to convince me.
Yeah. What I put down as mine for you is debate frenemies.
There you go. I like it.
That works.
Nice.
And then who was the other one you needed, Melissa?
That works. I can kind of do
Both
Chuck and Bert can have similar things. So with Jeremy, it might be one of those things where like you're a little standoffish with me. So I totally want to make you my best friend because it's like you don't seem to like me and I don't know why.
It just intimidates him more. It's a vicious loop.
Exactly.
You're a wonderful.
What was your character name, Melissa?
Sigrid.
Oh, Sigrid. Okay.
Joe, who do you still need?
So I have. Wait, what was Bert's name then?
Gunner.
Arrowwood.
Gunner. Yeah.
Gunner. Okay. So I've got Dogmoore, Gunner, and Sigrid. So I have one more.
I have one for everybody. I just
Gunner,
double
Sigrid.
lined one of them.
Do you have?
That's what I did.
Do you have Chuck's? Do you have Anders? Chuck is Anders.
Oh, we need one per person. Okay.
Yeah, one per person.
Okay.
And then these can always be
Let me
tweaked and
chart
adjusted
this.
over the. You know, maybe if one of you convinced the other that God does or does not exist, then maybe it changes. You know, something else.
I will be the subject for making that decision.
Who is this Lord that you
I feel
speak
like
of, and how do we slay him?
I feel like that's probably going to be like the turning point for me is like right around the time that I got my sight is probably right around the time that I also found faith.
Okay, that makes sense.
Or did you lose it?
But aren't you losing? You're questioning, but you were questioning God, and now you're not anymore. Or, okay.
Yeah, I'll have to make sure everything lines up, but that's
Sure.
what works in my head so far.
Okay. All right. So is anybody else missing stuff?
So I need one then for Jeremy and Chuck.
Okay.
Okay.
Jeremy's a rich writer, young guy. Chuck is a bohemian, upper middle class professor.
Yeah.
I think I
Joe,
like you're not focused.
what did I put? I put that I come to you on occasion for, medical consult stuff for,
Okay.
research. Like, hey, is it possible for a person to have 83 teeth in their head? I found a skeleton that's got 19 toes.
Depends on how good you are at putting them there.
Oh, okay. I'll have to
Okay.
go talk to Dr. Cuspid on that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
Okay.
You
Medical consultant.
needed somebody for Jeremy too. So Jeremy, what could
Yeah.
work? Why would you go see a doctor, or why would a doctor go see you? Or
I'd pester you for drugs. I don't know how you feel about that.
I have that for Bert as well, so that works.
okay, all right.
The hookup.
You're not the most ethical of doctors, are you?
Not at all.
That's why we all go
Perfect.
to him.
Exactly. Yeah. All right. Anybody else missing relationships? Or are we good?
I'm good.
It's for the sciatica, doctor.
Yeah.
Can I get a script?
I think we're all good.
I've got aristocrat money, but I haven't started with it.
Ooh.
All right, so we're getting close then. So then I think character sheets are basically done at that point. There's two other things that we're gonna do, and then we can actually try to play a little bit before we just roll some dice and mess around a bit.
Do we do mementos?
Mementos, you can either roll them randomly on the table, or you can just come up with one. We're not going to use it tonight, but a memento is literally it's just something you have, and you it's important to you for whatever reason, but it also has a small mechanical benefit in that I think it's once per mystery you can actually use it potentially to cure a condition, like to kind of help you do like a minor heal, like it somehow just makes you feel better.
Have a book in a foreign language, the Necronomicon, baby.
Didn't Dan just drop a Necronomicon reference in the meme dump today in Discord, I think?
That was someone else.
Someone else.
Who
unfortunately.
Okay.
was that?
I saw
That might have
somebody
been
do
Oak.
it. Okay. So yeah, like once per mystery you can heal a condition. Like there's no damage in this game the way you might think of damage. It's more like you accrue conditions. and
Oh, what a useless momentum.
you can potentially use it. You can potentially.
What'd you
use it.
get?
A beautiful fiddle.
A beautiful.
Another
you
dog.
Are so you
He's
are
so
like
weird.
one of the people that goes to the train station and plays the fiddle.
Mhm.
Well, I was going to say he's like the con artist that does the fiddle scam at the, you know.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Got a bloodstained promissory note.
I got sheet music from a forgotten master, but it's cool because I have a musical instrument as well.
Oh,
Where's
that
this
works.
table
nice.
at?
It's on that main
The-
sheet on
the
roll
regular
20.
book.
Scroll to the right. You should see it.
Do we
Okay.
need to roll like insights?
So the
Next
the,
in
the
the
sheet
band.
music
Okay.
was written by Eric Zahn, and then we've got his violin. And,
Right.
I just
Uh,
want you to know I'm changing
Can't
my
buy it.
musical instrument to a hurdy-gurdy because it's just fun to say.
That's cool. Yeah.
Mine matches. It's powder compact with sleeping pills.
Oh,
So-
that does fit. Yeah.
That
That is
strangely
the kind
works.
of doctor that you are. Right?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I like it.
Call him Dr. K-hole.
It's fun rolling characters randomly. Like you just get weird combos.
Yeah.
In answer to, I think I can't remember who said this, but somebody was asking about insights. Insights and defects are basically injuries. So
Okay, so they come up.
when
later.
if you take an injury, there's two kinds. You can take a mental or a physical, and it depends on whether you've been taking mental damage or whether you've been taking physical damage. You might get an injury. Some of the injuries, like physical injuries, can potentially be fatal if they're not addressed within a specific time frame. Mental injuries can be chronic, which is effectively the same thing. You don't die, but you become incapable of continuing on. At the end of a mystery, one of the things you guys can do is you roll a recovery check as you're returning to Uppsala, and if it's possible that an insight is a benefit from an injury, by the way, and a defect is a negative from an injury, it's possible that they become permanent. And so some of the insights can get really interesting, like you can become psychic and stuff, like legitimately psychic, or have like like dreams or something like that. And defects could be anything from a twisted ankle to like something more serious that could kill you, a bad ticker, something like that. So you don't need those now. Advantages on the character sheet is also something that's handled during the preparation and journey phase. So as you're traveling to the mystery, one of the things you can do is we do like a little mini like quick scene where maybe you're training with your rapier for a little bit while you're en route to wherever it is you're going for the mystery, or you're talking to some people and you're getting the lay of the land about the local cuisine or like the local politics. So there are things that you can potentially tap later in the mystery that can give you a benefit on certain roles. And so those things are mystery specific, so we don't need to worry about them right now. And armor and weapons are just like equipment in the sense that you can, some of you might have gotten something. Did anyone get any armor or weapons or anything like that?
Brass knuckles.
Brass knuckles, there we go.
Yeah, I got my guard dogs,
Okay.
which
Got a collection of books.
they're under the
equipment.
equipment
Just
category.
hit people with them, especially if it's like Zweihander, just knock a person upside the head with it.
Hit people with wine bottles.
Yeah. So it's possible that you could use your sort of preparation to get weapons if you feel like you're going to need weapons, and it probably wouldn't be a bad idea to have weapons. But there's that. All right. So the last thing we'll do then is I want to talk for a second about the castle. So we'll play out a scene here, a scene or two in a moment. But one of the things that you guys can do at the castle to kind of help sort of flesh out characters in your different roles and such is there's specific titles within the society, like the actual society, the council, and they correspond to what your responsibility at the castle will be. And so I figured it might be kind of fun to assign or kind of take those out. So you can have multiple titles, but it's kind of like a list of responsibilities that you're going to be taking on within the new society that you're forming. So for instance, some of these are going to be obvious to who it probably is going to go to. So for the first one here, it's priest and ritual master is the responsibility. And so we have a literal priest, so that unless you don't want to do it,
That's an easy win.
there's no mechanic, there's no mechanisms to this. It's all going to be like story and theme and stuff like that. But you do get a title, and it's your title for the council then would be chaplain. If Melissa, you want to take that on for Sigrid.
Okay.
If you want to be responsible, again thematically, for equipment, you could take on the title of armorer. If you want to be responsible more for security, You can take on the title of guardian if you want to be responsible for money and other resources. So maybe the rich guy down there, you're the treasurer. If you want to be responsible with like contacting the outside world and having connections, you're the shadow maker. So maybe like Dan and his poor nature, he's whatever. If you want to be responsible just for like making sure the headquarters are tidy and everything's under control, it's like the castle master. If you want to be responsible for the library and information gathering, your title would be the librarian. And if you're going to be
that one.
Okay. And if you're going to be responsible for physical training and medicine, you would be the custodian. So if any of those sound like something that you would just want to say, like, yeah, I think my character would probably do that, then...
So which one was the protection one? To make sure that the defenses work and such?
That would be... So like security, right?
Security.
Guardian. Okay. So the title is
Guardian. Okay.
Was there one that was related to like medical?
There's physical training and medicine. So that would be custodian.
Okay.
Are you wanting guardian, Bert?
If you'd prefer it, that's fine.
Were you gonna, Dan? Were you gonna do the contact one?
Well, it's either guardian because I have guard dogs, or the
Yeah, see, I wouldn't mind doing the contact one actually. So if you want to switch and you want to do guardian, that would work.
Okay, I'm good with that. If you want to do that,
Sure. And so, what is the
shadow
maker? Okay.
Yep.
sounds cool.
Do we record this anywhere on the sheet?
I don't see a
just
spot
dashed
for
it after my
to be
name.
honest.
Yeah, that's what I did too.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
Let me see if it's on the... It might actually... I'm not sure if
I
it's
didn't
on
see
the
it.
headquarters sheet or not.
It was
Just did-
custodian.
just
No,
did
I don't see.
something
I don't
like
see it on the
this.
headquarters sheet. But yeah, it's a custodian, just wherever you want to put it.
Okay.
I'll be the treasurer. I don't understand why you guys make such a big deal out of money. It's
It's only important.
Okay. And you can take more if you want. So we've got chaplain. Did anyone do armor? Did anyone want to do equipment? Like you're responsible for kind of collecting equipment and stuff.
I can throw that on with my guard duty if we want.
Perfect. There you go. And then I think the last one we need would be
What was
who's
the
in
title
charge.
for it?
That one's armor.
Armor.
And then we have no, we already did that one. Headquarters. So your responsibility is like the organization of the headquarters, and so that's the castle master.
Definitely not me.
Who wants to be the castle master?
kind of cool.
I can take that on too.
Okay, done.
Good with that.
Firsties totally works for me.
Right ahead.
All right, so then what we're gonna do now is let's kind of dive in and let's play a little bit. Like we got about 40 minutes or so till end of the night. I think we can get a little scene in or two, and then we're not gonna go fully into like a big structured mystery, but we can do some things because one of the first things you're supposed to do in this game is acquire the castle. So let's do that. Now, the castle itself, I said before you can do upgrades, and one of the upgrades that you can get, and I'm giving you all this for free. Like you get this. One of the upgrades is a local tavern. There's a neighborhood tavern. And so this will allow you to get some benefits later on. So all of these upgrades have little mechanical things to it. So I'm giving you the free tavern. So would anybody like to come up with a name for a tavern?
I have one, but it's terrible.
Already.
It's the Horn
Horn
Pub.
Pub. Yeah, the Horn Pub.
Yeah,
Is that what we're going with?
I'm good with that. It's either that or the Hot Pocket.
That's isn't that a spaceship
Salty
name?
quadruped.
Yeah, that was a ship name.
That was a Star Wars ship, wasn't it? Yeah. Okay. Horn Pub.
I'm good with the Horn Pub.
Okay. Kind of makes sense. Like we're in Scandinavia, Viking country, sort of.
There you go. Yeah.
There it is.
Yeah.
It's definitely
That's all
got
it means.
nothing to do with
Fill
a different
horns
website
with mead.
that no one on this stream possibly visits.
Yeah. We
Okay.
definitely just fill horns with mead.
Exactly. All right.
Yeah.
So then, if you were to describe, and feel free to jump in on this, if you were to describe like the aesthetic of the Horn Pub, what is it a nice place? Is it a busy place? Is it like a
Well, I
Is it
feel
like
like it's a little on the
getting it.
divey side.
Yeah, I'm picturing it like it was super nice at one point, but it's just not really been maintained.
Like, yeah, like I'm thinking like it's in the basement to something. It's like, these huge timber cross beams across the ceiling that kind of hang low. So you got to duck a little bit. It's got these deep booths in it with like real cushy
Love it.
Upholstery
seats.
that hasn't
Yeah.
been changed in decades.
Yeah,
got a
like
lot
it's
of,
worn
it's got a lot
through.
of stitching on it to
Okay.
keep it
Yeah.
together.
Okay.
A lot of history.
But it's
Like,
got
it's
its
got-
charm.
Yeah, it's got one of those bars where it's it's ridged almost from the years of people resting their elbows there.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I've been to one of those before.
Yeah.
Okay. So old upholstery. All right. Is it a busy place?
It's got regulars.
Okay. that's
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
I like it's not like a happening place, but the people who go there are
It's never
very
dead.
would you say
Yeah.
everybody knows your name?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
So not
It's
a
like that Holiday Inn
happening place.
commercial where you see them like walk into the bar and turn right around and walk back out because it's not
Yeah.
for like visitors.
So
Yeah.
what
It's a
kind of
popular-ish place, but it's a regular place.
Yeah, it's for locals. It's definitely not a tourist place, right? It's not going to be. It doesn't.
Mm-mm.
No one's really going to have a Yelp review for this.
Right.
So the regulars there, are we thinking like these are they like rugged, middle class, blue collar? Are they? And we can get the
They're
chat in on
all
this too.
my friends.
I like Ashley, when someone doesn't show up
They're
at the bar,
probably
Maiden
dead.
knows they're probably
They
dead.
probably died of something.
They're all my friends.
I wouldn't say it's rugged. Like I don't think it's a place where like bar fights and stuff break
Okay.
out.
Okay, so it's not like Roadhouse. There's not like a
No.
chain
There is
link fence or
definitely a
anything.
room in the back that has like the curtain, so you can get like the big booth in the back and like close the curtain, so like everybody knows you don't go back there because something
I feel like
could be like business.
I feel like
some
that's
kind
where
of
the
business
gang
is
took.
happening.
It's where your gang did business, apparently.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. Good deal.
Dogmoore's room.
So is this a place that's just like is it just booze or is it serve? Do people actually
It's
get
gotta have
food
some
here?
food.
Gotta have
Yeah.
food.
I have
Okay.
bad food though.
Bad food. Got it.
They got it's good food when you've
something
had
really
too many
good.
to drink.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, one thing really good.
So it's deep.
and the
It's
rest-
basically deep fried stuff.
Yeah, it's just super greasy. Like they got like a thick stew. You don't stir it, turns clear on the top.
Oh,
But good quantities, like you're gonna get a good quantity of
Right.
whatever
Slop.
it is.
They gotta
Greasy
have one
food.
thing they do real well.
Your
though.
beard shines real good after you eat it.
only tastes good when you're drunk. What's the one thing that they're good at?
They gotta have one thing, and it's gotta be something really inane.
Did
What's
they
the?
make their own mead or something?
Yeah. Okay. So they have like their own mead.
Yeah.
Does it have? Do you think they had? Did they have names for meads? Do you think, or is it just like give me a mead, or did they have?
Like maybe
It's like
some-
the bar,
like berries
the
or
bar
something.
name mead.
Okay. All right. So it's
Well,
got its own mead.
Yeah.
Okay. So when you
The
come in, you
mead
just say,
makes
"Give
it
me a
worth it.
mead," and everyone knows what you
Yeah,
want.
the house mead.
Yeah.
Okay.
The mead makes. the
Yeah. They
food
don't got any of that
worthwhile.
Coors or Bud Light on tap. It's only
Okay. Good. I'm getting this. I like this. All right. What up? Is there a bartender or an owner that we know that you guys?
there needs to be. Yeah.
It's,
Yeah.
I
That
feel like it's
regular
probably not
face.
self-serve. Yeah. That'd be.
Yeah.
Ashley's established it's a bar maiden.
Okay. Yeah.
It could
Yeah,
be. Yeah.
just Smirnoff.
I'm cool with that.
God damn it.
I just hear from left field Smirnoff just coming out of nowhere. Oh boy.
Nerds.
We can do
Oh,
Rebecca
man.
Nurse. I can do that voice. I'm gonna
Yeah.
put
Yeah.
Rebecca Nurse. Okay.
Rebecca Thirst.
Welcome to
Oh
the
my
Horn Pub. We
Oh,
got
that's
a
beautiful.
we got a fresh casket of mead. Something like that. There we go.
Turned
There we
into
go.
Rebecca
It's perfect.
Thirst.
Okay. All right.
And there
cool.
was yeah. That's great.
So
I feel like they should also be good with pies that are just sort of like everything that was about to go in the cellar. They just like throw into the pie.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
like
yeah.
you never
like
really
a
know
meat
what's gonna be
pie
in
or a
it.
dessert
Yeah.
pie?
No, like a
Okay.
meat
Pie. Like,
With
oh yeah,
vegetable
what's the
meat.
pie today? And they're like, oh, it's
It's either or.
It's like
Depends on what it
jellied
was.
eel and chicken.
I haven't seen Jim for a while. I don't know, but this meat pie is tasty.
The cook has to be S. Todd. Then it's just
Okay. We'll have to change.
Jim pie is great. Unrelated though.
good.
Jerry found a
We
deer
named it in
last
his honor.
week.
Yeah.
Joe
Okay.
Meat pie.
Beautiful. All right, so I've got the Horn Pub, who's owned and operated by Rebecca Nurse and S. Todd, the cook. It's not a very happening place. Lots of regulars. It's in a basement somewhere else. You can see, by the way, that I moved this over to a map of Uppsala on Roll20. For those of you in Roll20, You'll see that your castle is going to be that the big thing in the red box.
Boy,
to make it
everybody's
easier.
Wow,
gonna
that's
regret
an
us
eyesore.
over that.
Yeah. There's also, you can see there's a couple places, like there's a little key that kind of shows some other stuff, like a cathedral and the university, a hospital, stuff like that. So some of you might be familiar with it. So the drug dealers and the doctor would know the hospital pretty easily, and preacher might know the cathedral, etc. So these things might come up, they might not. We'll see. But it's kind of giving us an idea of like where we're at. And so likely, like you'll probably have a local neighborhood tavern somewhere in sort of that range. So now we have that underway. So that's like your first upgrade, and I'll maintain that, and I'll kind of show you the upgrades as we go. So let's get started. So we're heading to the Horn Pub. It is late in the evening. It is
usually when you go to the Horn Pub.
It is exactly. It is nearing winter time. It's basically on the cusp, or like kind of on the verge of autumn turning into winter. So the days are getting shorter. Darkness is coming up much faster. Remember, we are in Scandinavia, specifically Uppsala. So it's definitely going to get darker far earlier in the day than some of us are going to be comfortable with. You all have been in Uppsala for a little while now, a couple weeks at least. And you have been, some of you might live here, some of you might have just traveled here, and through various contacts, shared contacts, you've come to get to know each other to some degree. Maybe there's some kind of like site anonymous company, like little meetings that you go to where you're like you're like-minded, or maybe it's the Horn Pub itself where you all began to kind of meet each other and realize that you all have a very shared experience or shared power and a shared mission. You've done some research, might have been spearheaded by some of the more academics here, so Chuck and Bert's characters, maybe even financed to some degree by Jeremy's character Caius. I'll get the names up on the overlay next time. And you've all, through your various independent research, come up with a name of Linnea Elfaclint. And you have learned from whatever way that you've learned it, whether it's through your other homeless folk who just happen to have a rumor, whether it's from a professorial friend or another doctor, you have heard that she used to be part of a strange organization that used to occupy a place called Castle Gillenkreuz, and it is in that big red box. And that there's a lot of rumors over what exactly they did there, but that castle has long been dormant. And in the process of doing some research, you actually managed to make contact with Linnea, and you have been exchanging certain letters, and and you've kind of gained some of her trust to the point where she has confirmed some of the research that the society did in fact exist, and they did in fact hunt and research and learn about Vaesen. But for whatever reason, for reasons that she has been somewhat tight-lipped about, no longer does the society operate within Castle Gillenkreuz. And more to the point, she no longer lives within Castle Gillenkreuz. She's the only, as far as you can tell, the only person that ever really comes up regularly as being associated with that. The other names and faces have been forgotten, and it's been years since anyone's lived there. But she has heard about you all and has learned of your interest, and you've managed through your correspondence to convince her that the society might be worth reopening, and she is willing to lend use of the castle over to you. And so you've been corresponding with her in letters, and finally, for the first time, you're going to have a face-to-face meeting with her at the Horn Pub. And so maybe you all get there a little early, maybe you all get there a little late, get your drinks, whatever it might be. Find that back room, their back room booth with the curtain, and eventually you see two women that do not look like any of the regulars that you would normally see in the Horn Pub. Come stumbling in, a little bit of snow, kind of not too crazy on their shoulders. One is a very old woman, would peg her at 60, 70, something like that. She's lived a hard life. Squat, leaning over, shawl around her in addition to a heavy coat. You see another woman much younger is with her, kind of helping her along. They look nothing alike, so you don't suggest any sort of relationship between. I would say that Joe's character, you would recognize the kind of light blue cape that goes around the younger woman's shoulders as being representative of what's assigned to nurses at the asylum in Uppsala. And you would know that right off the bat. And so it would probably, you've heard some of these rumors that it's possible that not only does Linnea Effelklint still live here, but she spends time in the asylum. And so you would probably put two together that that's probably her. You see them come in and they're kind of looking around. There's a handful of empty tables, but there's still some other people here. Everyone's kind of laughing in their own groups, but you see them walk in and they're looking around for people. Does anyone approach them?
Please come in. We've got a round of drinks.
Get near them.
Okay.
I don't want to scare them off with my appearance just yet.
Okay. So how many of you would you say are sitting together in like that back big booth, and how many of you are sitting off to the side?
Maybe we all meet here once a year just to share notes on supernatural things that we had found through the years.
Yeah.
Just to roll a d4 for how many rounds I've already bought.
Okay. I like the idea of like a recurring thing. Everyone's got to cut their own angle on the supernatural, different experiences. Cool.
I want to roll a d4 and see how many rounds I've talked you into buying for me.
Okay.
Now you roll well.
As soon as you inspire me, of course I would buy you what you want.
So who approaches her? Like who waves in? Was it you, Jeremy?
Sure, I'll wave him in. Let's get you something warm to eat and a drink.
Okay.
I'd probably tip him off before, I think that's the person.
So they come over, and you can definitely see that the one woman is continuing to kind of, the younger one has like her arm around the older woman's shoulders. She's kind of almost helping her walk, kind of directing her in different places. And you can see that the older woman is occasionally swatting her hand away and not having anything to do with it. But when they approach the table,
I'll stand and pull out chairs.
Give me just a second. I'll be right back.
And you can see that the nurse kind of looks is sort of surprised, like, thank you. And she helps the older woman to her chair and then takes her own. And she says, actually, she actually stands up at this point. Actually, I'm really only here to help. I probably shouldn't be privy to this. And like Linnea kind of gives her like a curt nod as if they've had this conversation at a time. And you can see that the nurse woman steps away a bit and goes and sits by the bar while the older woman sits down next to you. And she looks at all of you. So, you're the ones, are you?
I'll motion to the bartender to give her whatever she wants at the bar.
And Rebecca Nurse will, like, with her squinchly face, she'll give you a motion, a head nod back so they know. Got it. And the old woman sits down. She looks at you all and she's like, so you're the group that's gonna take over the society again, are you? Kind of as if she's appraising each one of you one by one.
I suppose if it comes to that, what exactly does that entail?
Well, for one, you're going to need to spruce the place up a bit.
Of course.
There's an endless array of old libraries in the castle with books and resources that your universities won't have access to. We have long histories.
The libraries will be well taken care of.
Yeah. I don't know how good the condition of the libraries are these days. I haven't stepped foot in the castle in a very long time. But if you can find them and sort them, you're free to use them as you see fit.
What happened to the last members of the society?
She, at that, she kind of starts to lean back. It's a long time ago. It's not something I care to revisit. Let's just say not everyone saw eye to eye with our
Sorry about that.
intentions. And the disagreements, well, that's all I feel comfortable saying. It's just when you stare at the supernatural in the darkness so long, well, sometimes the darkness stares back. Are you taking notes, Jeremy?
Yes.
Oh, that's a good one.
Sincre is going to kind of jump in here and be like, that everyone doesn't need to be on the same page. You just need to be able to work things out amongst yourself. And we are strong of character and, totally full of,
Thirst.
self-confidence. And this is absolutely going to be successful. And
So confident. Yep.
That's why books have lots of pages. It'd be boring.
Are there any pictures in that book?
Possibly there were many a artist who wandered the halls of Gillenkrutz in my day.
What is the pedigree of this castle? Obviously old, many generations. Who is its current caretaker? Or who legally owns the residence?
I am on the legal paperwork. If you were to visit the town centers, you would see my name, but I suspect you will find it in a very run-down condition. I did, however, and she starts patting her shirts. There was an old, what was his name? She starts. You see her start to get really impatient as she's forgetting something. Yeah, Frisk. That's right. Yes. He was in. I received another contact of ours from some time ago. His family predates me. In fact, they long were the stewards of the grounds, but since I've closed it, I didn't allow anyone on it at all. It's likely he'll seek you out at some point, or you could. I know he's still local. At least he was local enough to send me a letter.
Has there been any attempt to keep the local populace out?
There's more than a scary story to keep those out, and they are good, solid iron barred gates and architecture that would make a young child whimper a bit. Most will stay away, but if it begins being active once more, I would prepare yourselves for some degree of harassment. There's far too many tall tales.
When has a tall tale kept you, Dogmoore, from a dry roof over your head? I'm sure we may
Not
find.
a one time ever.
I'm sure we may find proteges of yours have been in there.
I wouldn't
Perhaps.
I wouldn't be surprised. Squatters are something of a epidemic, especially with the cold coming on so quickly this year. And so she'll rummage in one of her pockets, and you see her pull out this fairly heavy old key, this massive key. It's bigger than her hand, and it just slumps down onto the table. This will get you through the front door. And then she pulls another one out. It's a smaller one. This will get you through the gate. I haven't used it in years, so be careful. No. I don't know what the state of the locks are, but this should suit you. I don't, unfortunately, have access to every key. Some rooms might be more difficult to clear. It's a very large property. It suffered some damage. Incidents. It happens in our line of work. I'm sure you'll be able to, with some resources, be able to hire personnel to help you. So she takes a kind of a long, deep breath and kind of If that's all there is, I'm an old woman, and I need my rest.
You said that this Frisk wrote you recently?
Yes, apparently he has heard that there's been a group of people inquiring about the castle. I don't know how he heard, not from but he certainly was interested in returning to work. If you can't find him, I'm sure he will find you. He is very resourceful.
Excellent.
So she'll begin to stand and motion over towards the nurse. If there's no other questions, she's ready to go.
Yeah, I'll stand, help her out of her seat, make sure she has her cloak. Ask her if she'd like something warm for the evening, perhaps some soup or a mug of something hearty.
A mug would be divine, thank you. You are a very kind man. Kind of pats you.
Motion over
I'll give her one of my beers that I earned.
She looks at it.
The mead. Sorry, the mead.
Have you been drinking out of it? Is it half empty?
No. I got 4 of them up front.
Yeah, there's
My constitution is not what it was when I was a young girl.
I'll drink half of it and give it to you then.
No, that's okay.
Let's go to the bar and get you a proper refreshment.
Drink 3/4 of it and offer the remaining quarter.
So Rebecca Nurse, fills up a mug of some hot, spicy mulled wine or something like that. She's steam pouring out of it. And the nurse is finishing whatever drink that she ordered, and once the thermos is kind of handed over, you can see that Linnea is getting a short temper. I'm ready to go. You can see that occasionally this little temper just sneaks out at times. But the nurse, who's used to it, kind of exhales, yes, Miss Ethelkind, and she'll get up and have a good evening. Thank you for the drink. And they begin to walk out at that point. She'll turn back, Linnea will turn back once towards you all and be like, mark my words. You'll likely regret this at some point. And then she'll leave.
I regret nothing.
So,
love it.
So
Sigrid is going to forcefully say to Dogmoore and Yürgan that we are going to take care of anyone that has been staying in that castle, and they will not be displaced with force. So just setting that.
We can merely hire them. I'm sure there will be work aplenty.
We'll take care of anyone. I thought you meant something different, but yes.
Yes. A strong back, desperate for coin, is always a desired thing.
I thought they might be dog snacks, but
Yeah, weird.
I want to wait just a
Taking
bit,
care of our own.
and then I want to peek out the door to see which direction they're heading in.
They are heading if we're looking at the map, which isn't going to be 100% precise, they're heading kind of southwesternly, away from the castle. So you would either towards somewhere else more interior in the city, or you would know the asylum is possibly in that direction as well. But they're definitely not going to the castle. Okay. It's still, it's the equivalent of 7:00. But outside it's darker, so it looks like 9-10 o'clock, but there's still time in the night if you wanted to look tonight.
I propose we get some sustenance and perhaps a few bottles to go and see what our domain is going to need in the way of help. I hope there are good quarrymen and stoneworkers about.
We should definitely toast our new plans.
how many more drinks can I talk him into buying?
So Todd will
there
bring out
still-
plenty of meat pies and put them in cartons for you. Go ahead, Joe.
Are there still like shops and things open right now?
A little bit if you need to.
Okay.
But
How
it's
does availability work with like?
so availability is really for preparation phase when you're going on a mystery. So mechanically, how it works is that at the start of the preparation phase, all of you roll a number of dice equal to your resources score, and for every 6 you roll, you get kind of a point of currency to spend. Availability is how much it would cost. So if something says availability of 2, it would take 2 resources. So we're not doing that now because we're not on a full mystery. This is just sort of like
Right.
introductory scene, but we'll definitely do that next episode.
Okay.
Well, here's to the good fortune we've seen this night and the shoulders that we can lean upon to share whatever burdens come forward in the future.
Okay.
Indeed.
Cheers.
And so, as you guys are going to leave, you can hear Rebecca goes, Mr. Redding, aren't you forgetting something? Your tab.
I'm never forget.
I'll put some coins out with a generous tip to
Okay.
cover us and the 2 ladies.
That's better. And and she'll give you a wink. She's like, half of her face, I feel, is like already squinting, and so she'll squint with the other one too. And and you guys saunter out into the cold evening. It's I mean, you're all Scandinavian, so you're used to the cold, unless some of you aren't. If you guys decide to make yourself something else, that's fine. But you're used to the cold. For most of us, it would probably be cold, but it's we'll call it like, October-ish. So it's almost winter, but not quite the full-blown winter,
I've got 4 beads. I'm invulnerable.
If
Yeah.
there is a shop open, perhaps picking up some wick, a small keg of lantern oil,
Sure.
and to provide some light.
Yeah. You can definitely pick that up along the way. Lantern oil, easy enough, super accessible. So a couple slightly out of your way, but maybe a block or 2 in a different direction, but easily enough.
Is that what I think you got, Chuck?
So all of you basically, if you want for now, have a light source at your disposal. And eventually, like as you're navigating the different streets, you know exactly where Castle Gillencritz is. Like it's a, like you said before, it's an eyesore. Like there's a bunch of smaller, more modern homes, then there's this old Gothic castle. It's been sitting there for hundreds of years. And when you approach it, it is huge, and it is 3 stories at least, but it has a lot of like irregular peaks and towers and crenellations and such. It sits on a decently sized hill, so it adds to the height that's overlooking the kind of smaller buildings around it. There's a river, the Pyrus River, that goes along its western edge. And when you approach it, you can see that there's like she said, a very, very tall iron fence with thick bars that maybe a dog could slip through, but people would probably have trouble with their heads. And the actual gate itself is this fairly ornate looking structure with these 2 more cement or concrete light towers, on top of which are these beautiful but not well kept griffin statues that are kind of peeking down at whoever might be coming up. The entire looking at the castle, it's super dark. There's only a touch of moonlight coming through the overcast sky.
Oil the lock.
Easily enough. So you take some of the lantern oil, make sure nothing's going to break when you put stuff in. You get one of the keys, the smaller key, to go ahead and put it into the little padlock. Opens up.
Take a look real quick to see if it looks like someone has opened it recently. Any scratches around the lock face? Anything look like it was forced?
It definitely looks as though something was someone maybe tried, but it doesn't look like it's actually been opened. You can see like there's been some scoring as if maybe somebody was trying to pick it, but you don't necessarily. It doesn't look like it's been open or broken, but there's scoring around the key edge.
Sigrid is going to kind of grab the keys and do kind of like a little prayer over them
Okay.
to, kind of guide our new endeavors. And so like you think you're going to put it in, and she just kind of grabs it and then kind of does her thing to the side and then kind of gives them back to you.
Fair enough. So then you open the lock, drop, there's a big heavy chain that was kind of helping to keep the gates tight, but it opens up. and you can see that there is a fairly long walkway. There are spots you would think where maybe lantern light could hang, but nothing seems to be hanging there on either side, and all of it leads up towards the ornate opening of the castle itself. It's terribly overgrown, bushes and trees all over. You can see these dark branches from some of the trees are kind of like sweeping down in the wind, almost like a hand against the concrete. You can see that there's a bunch of dark birds when you hold your lanterns up. You can see like dark birds, crows, ravens that have collected on the upper branches and are kind of just like watching you, like the griffins, just sort of staring at you. And more than once you hear a rustle, like a rustle in the bushes, and you can see like these little yellow eyes just kind of peering back at you before they blink and go away. Might be foxes or rats or mice or something like that.
Any prints in the snow?
Wow.
So why don't we do a roll just for fun? So if you want to take a look, if you're looking around out here, like normally I wouldn't require this roll, but since we haven't done one yet, I can walk through the rolling mechanics. So for that, we're gonna do vigilance, and so you want to take a look at to formulate your pool. You look at two things. You look at the skill first, and so in this case it is vigilance, and then you look at the associated attributes, and you just add those two numbers together, and then what do you add?
I do have a question related to that. But...
Okay, and with a 6, it's successful. You actually do see some tracks. You see animal tracks galore. Definitely looks like small paw prints of some kind. You would surmise a wild dog or a fox, probably. Nothing so big as like a wolf or anything like that. You see possibly like snow hares, and you do see a fairly heavy boot print by one of the trees. Dan, what was your question, by the way?
Oh, just I have my dogs, and they all add to my vigilance, so my vigilance can be like, it can be actually that high.
Yes. So there are other ways to improve your dice pool, and so if you have items, for instance, you can sometimes some items that might, in this case, your dogs might add like a +1 or a +2. That's just additional dice on top of it. So if you had like 8, now you have 9 from a dog. Also, you can assist each other. Up to 3 people can assist, and for each person, you get another +1. But it's got to make sense, and you got to be near each other, and you can't be busy doing something else. So as long as it's, and you got to call it out before the roll. Sure. But with a 6, successful.
Perfect.
And you do notice, in fact, there are some boot prints as well.
I am happy to pursue.
Is there any sort of
if needed
punishment for failure, like heart, or is it a little more forgiving
so
on that end?
The way, great question. So if you hypothetically, if Bert would have failed that roll, didn't roll any 6s, what that means is that you can either just accept the fact that you failed, or you can push the roll. Pushing is just you re-roll all the dice. But in order to do so, you have to take a condition. And so taking a condition is taking damage. In this game, there's physical conditions. There's 3 kinds of physical conditions, and there's 3 kinds of mental conditions. And each one of them you can see on your character sheet. For physical, there's exhausted, battered, and wounded. For mental, there's angry, frightened, and hopeless. So if you want to re-roll, like if you're pushing, you have to mark one of those conditions. You can pick whichever one you want, but you have to mark it and then re-roll. And so like if Bert would have failed, for instance, he could have, since this is this was a logic test, it's mental, so he could have taken like angry, like he's pissed off. It's like, where the, and you start, gives you an idea of how to role play. Like, I'm pissed off because I can't find anything, or maybe snow fell from the branch on his head while he was looking and he just concentrated even more. If you accrue 3 of one kind of condition, so like if you take all 3 of the physical conditions, and then you take one more physical condition, you become broken, and that means you have to roll for a critical injury. That's
okay. That gets you your insights and defects then.
Well, I'll point out the boot prints.
Okay.
Yep.
So Gunnar points out these boot prints.
I'd be happy to try and pursue them a little bit if we need. Try and track them, perhaps.
All right. I will roll over Gunnar's, since we already did a vigilance test. There's no reason to do another. And you track them around. They start moving around the castle. This is a fairly big lot, and this is a very big castle. This isn't like a small house. And it's going into some heavy brush So you're doing your best to kind of follow the boot prints, but it does, at a certain point, you kind of lose them. But you can tell that the vector of where the boots were going was into the rear of the castle, like around to the back.
But you did say that it was snowing, correct?
And it was indeed.
Yes, I'll point out these are fresh. Our intruder is likely still on the premises.
Yep. That would be a pretty solid conclusion.
Do we want to keep trying to track the prince?
I'm interested in following the prince. I'll have my good boys ready to go.
Okay.
I certainly wouldn't want to be caught by surprise in the dark.
Okay.
Agreed. I would much rather we find them than they find us.
So if everyone's kind of going off in that direction, you're pushing through a lot of heavy trees where the snow's not quite hitting the ground, so the prints aren't as clear. But eventually you push past that to the back of the castle, and you can start to see snow on the ground again, and the boot prints begin to emerge, and so you kind of re-pick up the trail. Back here, you can see that there's a bunch of other buildings. This is a lot that has not just the castle, but looks like there's a buildings that might have been a stable at one point, maybe servants' quarters, that kind of stuff. You're on like the northeastern side of the castle at this point. You can see that there's all sorts of fountains with like kind of frozen or mildewy, or mossy, like covering inside the fountains themselves, not really functioning. They might have at one point been decorative. Lots of statues that have been left in disrepair with cracks here and there. And you can see there's another hill in the distance that you can barely make out something sticking up in the ground from them. But the boot prints seem to move around to a specific door. And as you're going around, by the way, you're noticing that all of the windows are completely barricaded. Every single window you've come across, or
On
any
the
that you can
outside?
see on the second. There's quite a few. There's like, this is a huge building.
Well, barricaded on the outside or on like the inside?
Inside, we'll say.
Okay.
And you get around to the outside and to the back, and you can see that there's a bunch of those. There's a bunch of like rubble on the ground, and then there's a door that doesn't seem to have been barricaded, like a back door to some small annex of the castle.
And that's where the prince seemed to go?
Mm-hmm.
And we can tell the prints are going this way, like it's definite enough that it looks like the boots are.
For sure.
Pointing
Undoubtedly.
that way. Yeah.
Undoubtedly, these tracks, someone went into the castle. You also don't see any leaving.
Single person? And how large is the print? Like a man's boot, perhaps smaller, like a child's or a woman's boot?
A large boot print. So this, not just a man's boot, but probably a big man.
The snow people moving.
Not like anything.
Conceal the numbers.
Not like anything supernatural. Just like a really big, like not quite Shaq size. Like like maybe a size 15, something like that. 16, decent size shoe.
Andre the Giant.
You don't see a second. You only see, this is the only set of prints you see.
Well, should we just call out a hello?
Depends on how friendly you're feeling.
Why not?
I mean,
Let's not be bad hosts.
right? This could
Who
be,
wants who's in there?
potential help.
We have
So
a chorus of friendly sounding hellos.
okay.
So is this
pork
like at
barks.
the door, or have we opened the door already?
The door is not
I think
open
we're-
yet,
I
unless
think
you.
we're stopping at the door.
Do we see any signs of them, kind of like with the gate, of it being forced?
Yeah, looking,
did.
you can see that the frame of the door itself was probably crowbarred open at some point. You can see part of the frame has been split. So it's still sitting decently inside the frame, but it's definitely been messed with.
Pried it open and put it back.
Yeah.
Keep the cold out.
Well, yeah, push the door open and call out.
Door creaks
I'll
in.
do it.
How loud do you want to call out? Are we
Are
just
you
saying like
not-
hello, or are you like screaming really loud?
Forcefully so.
Okay. Okay. When the door opens up, it's an incredibly dark room. There's no light whatsoever other than what's now shining in from your lanterns. You get the general idea that this looks to be like a kitchen area. You can see what looks like pots and pans stacked up and piled up in different places. But when you call out, you wait a couple beats. You don't hear a response.
Shall we try and
Release
track
the
them inside
hounds.
then? Yeah. Try and track them inside.
Yeah, release the hounds. Let the hounds sniff them out.
I won't
Do we
set 'em
see
free, but I'll let 'em guide
muddy
me.
boot prints or?
Yeah, if you look inside, you can definitely see that there are some wet, muddy prints. You would hazard that these probably were made within the last 30 minutes to an hour or so. Otherwise, they might have dried up by now.
See if my good boys can follow the trail for us, if it's even necessary.
Your dogs are actually starting to get a bit excited. You can see them, like, they're kind of tugging a bit on the leash or whatever it might be that you're using. Like, they definitely seem a little bit more excited than usual.
All right, well, we'll let them lead us on.
Okay. You go inside, and it is in fact a kitchen. You can see that there are a variety of countertops, furnace that doesn't seem to be in effect, lots of old crates. It kind of has an awful smell in here, like something foul. You can see like really, really old, like basic cutlery that is sort of rusted. There's some knives and stuff that are set up here and there. Pots and pans that have been partially wrapped up and put into crates, but it's as if someone just kind of gave up with packing at some point and just left it the way it was. You can see a small dumbwaiter that there's some stuff kind of piled up against it to your left as you walk in, and across this large preparatory island in the middle of the kitchen, you can see another door that seems to go further inward. And it looks like that set of footprints seems to be going in the direction of that door.
Yeah, I'm just following the prints.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so at this point...
assuming the dogs aren't leading us to floor snacks, I'll let them...
Are any of the knives in like good enough shape to use them?
You could probably get you can probably get use out of it, but these things aren't going to last for very long. But yeah, you could probably get temporary use or something out of it, sure.
Okay.
Why doesn't someone at this point, since we're now inside, if somebody wants to make... Well, actually, I'll just give it to you. I'm just going to continue the roll with a vigilance test. You start to hear...
I was hoping to fail a roll here.
You start to hear sounds of voices of some kind. You can hear kind of things. So Dan, if you want, you can roll... if you want, why don't you roll a vigilance and see what you can decipher. You hear sounds. It's indistinct unless you pass. Okay. So you got one success. Now it says 2 successes. So that usually means that you get something a little better. And so in this case, you can hear at least 2 voices in some weeping and something kind of growling coming from nearby. Not on the other side of this door, but close. And
growling or all of it?
All of it. It's just sort of like this cacophony of sounds that are kind of echoing. But it's not on the other side of this door, but it's definitely close. There's 2 voices that appear to be arguing, and then there's like just someone who's just like wailing and weeping, and then the growl kind of intermixes into it.
Your dogs did like the smell of this, so maybe there's a dog on the other side of the door.
Perhaps there's a good boy who needs saved, or a bad boy who needs to be retrained.
Now, was Frisk someone who might be here or used to be here?
The family was known to have as a history of serving the castle, according to Algot Frisk.
But not someone who should be here currently.
I feel like we should either make our way to the weeping or the growling.
Okay.
Yeah.
I kind of want to go to the weeping.
Okay. It's all kind of coming. There's only one door, so they're all kind of, and there's a dumbwaiter.
At this point,
does it all seem to be from the same spot?
It's like it's going inward.
Yeah. We'll gently open that door.
So you open the door, and it looks to be like a hallway that's got a laundry room chute on the side that doesn't seem to be like there's like wash basins and things, and there's a kind of a window that's been boarded up that likely you imagine goes outside. You can see holes in the ceiling where you would imagine 2nd or 3rd story folks put their laundry, and it kind of comes down here at some point. And with each step, you can see more and more of those boot prints. It's dark in this hallway. The only light you're getting is that which you bring. And you can see another one of the same types of doors that you just passed through. And every step closer you get, it's louder. And you would surmise that these voices are likely somewhere on the other side of that door.
All right, who wants to have door duty? Or is it me?
You're the one with the dog.
And I'll knock on the door.
Ooh,
Okay.
There you go.
So when you knock on the door, you immediately hear the arguing voices stop, a bark begin as opposed to a growl, and you can hear that the weeping suddenly sounds like...
Oh, bust that door down.
Yeah.
Okay.
Kick the door down.
All right. You bust the door down, and you can see that this is a very long and large dining room. Think Harry Potter, with like long rows of like there's like one really long interconnected series of like picnic benches down the middle, and then there's some like circular tables and such. You can see these couple big chandeliers hanging over top of them, but they're not lit currently. There's all sorts of stuff that's been covered with sheets and things, but there are sections of the tables that are currently uncovered. As you step in, like immediately after the knock, you can see that there are two very large men. You would probably peg them at like 6'3" or so. They're fairly burly. Maybe they're dock workers or something like that. But you can see them off to your left, and they have got these lanterns sitting atop of the table. You would probably surmise that they might be the two that are arguing. Further down to the right, you can see that there are two individuals that are currently strapped to chairs, have rope wrapped around them, and are currently gagged. There is a large mastiff sitting right in front of them, and that is now turned and is facing you. The light of your lantern flickering, so there's like these little tiny beads of light in its eyes, and that thing's barking.
I want to know if I can make that dog mine.
There's a balcony above, like there's a second floor, and you can see there's another large set of doors in the far end. The further down you go, the further away towards like where the people are sitting, the darker it gets. But right in this early area, it's very, very lit. You can see that the two figures are going for guns. So like they're pulling out these guns that they have, and like one of them is kind of loading what looks to be like a musket, and the other, like another, is sort of fumbling with it. And then when they see
rush forward,
okay.
just so needs to see that rush forward.
All right, so then let's do initiative. So the way initiative works in the game, it's a deck. So everyone gets a deck of one. It's 1 to 10. Everyone gets a card. Let me see if I can do this correctly. Let's see.
I saw the decks were on there, so.
All right, so then, so we deal one card to all players.
Ooh,
that can't be right.
We all got a 1. Surely that's meant for me.
Right. Let me recall everything to it again.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is it one card to all players or one card?
It's one card to all players. Okay, so include all. So let's go to deal. Okay, I'm probably gonna have to do this like one by one. That's annoying, but oh well. All right, so basically it's they're numbered 1 to 10, and 1 goes first. There's gonna be a 0 as opposed to a 10. That's the best I could do. So let me get everybody up there.
Oh, 1 goes first, and that's definitely not mine.
Yeah, so everybody.
So I think you had it last time because my card was a 3.
Yeah, but it only dealt out like to half the people. Then it said it ran out of cards for some reason.
Oh, on mine it showed 1s on everybody.
Mine it said to draw.
No,
Well,
it's
you
just
have
that you
to
had
click on the card.
You only have 1 card. That's what the 1 is. All right, so let's just do it again. I'll try to do all players.
Gotcha.
So I'm here. I feel like there's some people that aren't in here for some reason. All right. Has everyone got a card? It's not working.
I'll be here.
All right. Does everyone?
Actually, we have an extra person in here. It looks like
there's Sigrid. Let me see if I can do it this way. I've never really used this before. Let me shuffle the cards. A recall. There's 10. There's 10 cards in the damn deck. All right. I recalled all. Now I'm going to deal 1 card to all players. Okay. All that looks good. There we go. Yay, it worked. Okay, so go ahead and click on your card, and it'll tell you where you're at.
I have 4.
And let me know who's got the 1. And so I also
Ooh,
have. Okay.
Nice.
I will be going. The bad guys will be going 3rd. Who's got 1?
You can't look at the other people's cards.
Who's got
the
anybody have 2?
Lollygagger count?
Yeah, we'll make that the dog. Yeah.
I need to trade the dog.
Dog is 9. So the dog will be going.
7.
2.
Anybody have a 1? All right. So then the first person technically in initiative is Sigrid. So you can see this one guy is literally fumbling and trying to load a gun. The other is sort of seeing the door burst open, is dropping the gun, and is now pulling out what looks to be some kind of weapon, some kind of like heavy blunt instrument at the end of it. Might be a sledgehammer or just a workman's hammer, something like that. Now, combat. This is the way it works. There's two things. There's slow actions and fast actions. Jeremy, maneuvers and actions. Maneuvers are now fast actions, and then actions are slow actions. So there's a little handout for combat actions. You can see kind of the list of things you can do. This game works in zones. So right now you guys are sharing the same zone. So if you're up against the door, the guys are just a few yards away from you to your left. So you're in the zone. So anyone can just spend a fast action to move within the zone to close in on them if you want to. Other fast actions could be things like drawing a weapon. So if you didn't have a weapon drawn, you might need to do that. Fast actions also can be reactions like parrying and dodging. You can use them outside of your turn. It's not like Zweihander where it's only when you get to your turn that you get your AP back. Once the round starts, everyone has your fast action back. But you get one fast action, one slow action. If you want to trade your slow action in for a second fast, that's fine too. So we'll say right now the dog and the hostages are one zone away, but the two guys to your left are in the same zone as you. So Sigrid, what would you like to do?
Oh boy. So what do I want to do?
I just asked you that question.
I want to. So my fast action is going to be to move towards the individuals that are tied up.
Okay, so you're going towards the dog who's basically been guarding them. So fast action can move you from one zone to the next. Sure, no problem.
Do that.
You
and
still
then
have a slow.
my slow action would be to try to check them, like for injuries.
Okay.
Treat injuries, perhaps.
So
sort of like I'm kind of just trying to see, like, if they like have the crap beat out of them or like.
Okay, since you've moved further in, I won't even require slow actions are usually things that require checks. So like a test, I won't even require one here. They both look. One's an older man. One seems to be a woman in her 30s. Both of them look to have some superficial bruises and cuts. But the more interesting thing is that you can see a little bit better now that on the other end of that long dining table on the far end, you can see that there appears to be something else on top of the actual table. Now that your lantern is somewhat close, you can see that there's a body laying on top of it.
Oops.
Oh.
But these two people who seem they're alive, they're kicking, they're shaking, and they see you and they're motioning for you, so they're definitely alive. And the dog is now salivating at your presence.
So I'm going to move over in that direction and just sort of announce that we are the new owners of this establishment and we demand to know what is going on here.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, so number 3 is actually the two guys. So I'm going to say that the one guy messing with the gun is sort of in the process of drawing. And then the other guy who's got a kind of a workman's hammer will go ahead and charge towards the door. Who would we say is out in front of the door? Not Sigrid, but who would we say is out in front?
It's got to either be between.
Well, I pushed the
Gunnar
door
or
open.
me. Yeah. 'cause I was right there
Sigrid
too.
ran forward.
Okay. So I'll 50-50 it then between Dan and Bert. 1 to 3 is Dan. And of course it's Dan. So
as it should be.
so this guy with his hammer will come running towards you over his head, and you can see and when you look at him, he's got this like kind of crazed look in his eye, like he's just not all there. Like there's something you can see. He almost looks scared, like he's kind of got a pale look on his face. But he will charge in, and he will go ahead, and I will use my slow action to take a swing at you. So that's going to be 6 dice for me. So there is a little macro if you wanted to use it. You don't have to. So I got 2 successes. So one of the things you can do with extra successes in combat is you can add more damage. Now, so Dan, you would be taking right now, you're just taking 2 damage. So what you do is when you take damage, physical damage like this, you have to mark 2 conditions. You can choose whatever 2 conditions you want, but you would have to mark them.
Battered and wounded, I assume.
Done. And I should have mentioned this before I swung, but you always can use your fast action if you want to try to defend, but you have to call it out before I roll. So that's my fault. The other one will go ahead and turn with the musket, and we'll target Sigrid, who just ran past. And this was not as good. This is only 5 dice, so I'll do 5 for that. And this one, I have 0 successes, and so I fire wide, and you hear something clink against the wall. So does anybody have 4?
I have 4.
Okay, Dan, it's your turn. You have now. There's one guy who's engaged with you.
And I wish I had seen this earlier. I would have picked up a knife.
Okay. I did. Yeah, I kind of put them there. I'm like, hey, maybe if you would have gone in the front door, there was like heavy statues too. Stuff to pick up.
Because I have close combat, but I don't have any weapons.
You can roll force to do a hand-to-hand. You can like just punch somebody. You can roll force.
I know. That's why I say I would have picked up a knife earlier if I had seen the combat action sooner.
Even if you don't have any in the skill, you can still roll your base attributes. So if you have a physique of like 3, but you have no skill ranks in force, or no skill ranks in force, you can still roll 3 dice for the attributes.
I know. I've got a metric ton of close combat.
You probably have something on
I
you.
can't
Like, you
use
probably
it.
don't just wander around without even like a little.
Do you have a
or
lantern
something.
out? You can clunk them with a lantern. Just swing the lantern out.
I've got lockpicks and dogs.
Okay. So what do you
Bring your
want to
dog at him.
do? Pick your dog
Well,
up.
the dogs give you close combat.
Whoa.
So do you want to?
Roll.
Unless
So you're
I can
sicking your dogs on
use
them.
them.
So no,
Sure.
we'll double check this later, but it sounds like you're just sicking the dogs on them. So roll a close combat attack and using your dogs as the attack. For sure.
If that works, then I will gladly take it.
Yeah. 1 success.
1 out of 8.
Does your dog? It's fine. Does your dog have a damage associated with it?
Sure doesn't.
Okay, we'll just say
At least
1
not,
then.
Not that I know of, at least.
Okay, we'll say 1 then, which means this is going to take. NPCs don't have conditions the same way that PCs do, but it's functionally the same. But you can see that this one is like one of your dogs is just gnawing on its leg right now, and he's swinging and smacking wildly at it. Who is 5? Who is 6? All right, Chuck, you're up.
The dude who's engaged with Dogmoore.
Mhm.
I want to go up and I want to donk him over the head with my whiskey bottle.
Okay, beautiful.
Please do so.
Easy enough to take 2 steps towards him. So that's fast action, and then you swing your bottle. It's a weapon, so it's still close combat. So
Okay.
add your close combat and the other thing, and I'll give you an extra bonus for using the bottle.
Okay.
So add an extra die.
So that's going to be, let's see. Yeah, that's 3.
Okay.
Nice.
Beautiful. Very nice.
Oh, all right.
Okay.
Yeah, success on 3. It took me 8 to get one.
Well, you're Dan. He's Chuck. So you run up, you conk him right over the head. Roll a d6. 4 to 6, the bottle breaks.
Ooh. That could be more dangerous.
Okay.
Aw.
Bottle breaks right over top of his head. Glass scatters all over the floor, and you can see him. He just kind of, his head kind of shakes a little bit, and then he just sort of falls down to the ground.
Nice. Do I still have like the neck of the bottle
Yeah,
in my hand?
you could totally
Now
stab
it's a
someone with that.
shiv.
Yeah. Got your
Yeah,
shiv.
all right.
You got your shiv. Beautiful.
Very cool.
All right. Who's next? 6, 7. All right, Joe. One guy is down in front of you. The other one just shot at Sigrid. He's off to your left. Fast action can get you engaged with him if you want to run over.
Okay. Could I like try to disarm him using a slow action?
So yeah, like One of the things that you can do with attacks is if you get extra successes on them, one of the things you can use extra successes on is to disarm a person. But what we can say is that if you want to specifically disarm them, we'll say that if you get a success, it won't be damage. It'll just be disarm. Okay. Or you can roll like normal, and if you get more than one success, you do damage and you disarm them. It's your call.
I'm more keen on just disarming him.
Okay. So go ahead. Do you have a weapon or anything, or are you just doing this barehanded?
I have a knife.
Okay.
So I'll be trying to use that to lever.
Close combat.
Add a knife to a gunfight.
Plus physique. And we'll say +1 for the rusted knife.
And I want him to have brought his fists to a knife fight.
He's currently got a musket that just missed.
Okay.
It's a crappy musket. Okay. And as you walk up, you slash at his arm, and you can see the gun goes flying off to the side. He grabs his arm, looks at you, and again, he's got this wild look on his face. And you can tell that his eyes, his pupils are kind of dilated a bit, and he looks kind of pale. He looks a little, he might be on shrooms. It's possible. Okay. So who's next? Jeremy, you haven't gone yet, right?
Yep, I got a big old goose egg here.
Oh, okay. So the dog will go next. Oh, I'm sorry. My bad.
Yep. So we've got one guy down, one guy that just had his musket knocked to the side, right?
Mm-hmm. Correct.
All right. I'm going to go to the closest bound person and untie them.
Okay. Fair enough. So fast action to run. We'll say the closest one is the old man, and you begin to untie him with your action. No problem. If you unbind him, say, thank you so much. Oh, there's another one somewhere in the house. I don't know where. And so he's like kind of looking, kind of frightened a bit, but old man seems to be okay though. And then Jeremy.
If I hear them say that they seem to have the rest of the crew in hand pretty well. That person says there's another one. Can I use my slow action to actively be looking for who else it might be? Maybe even use my fast action to be moving around to do so.
Okay, so if you move into you want to move into the room?
Yeah, like basically move and search around if there's indication there might be another one.
So you move in, and why don't you roll a vigilance test to see if you can see anything?
Okay. Let's see, vigilance is logic. Okay. So
Yep.
Not bad at that. No. Okay. Why not? Do this.
Perfect. You do in fact see if you look up to the second floor balcony, you see a shadow. There's not a whole lot of light up there. You guys all have lanterns, but it's a fairly high balcony, so not a ton of lights getting up there. But you can see kind of a shadowy figure with like a very, villainous looking cape, whose feet are beginning to run as he sees what you all are quickly doing to these folks down here. But doesn't seem to be like shooting or pointing anything at you. You can't make out a face, but you can make out the legs and like a cape or a cloak on the second floor.
Stop! Point in their general direction.
All right. Then the next will be the dog, who will, at this point, I think, run up on Sigrid. Sigrid was the first one there. I said that it had eyes for you. So this one's going to make an attack. It's got 5 dice. So let me roll this really fast. And with 2 successes, you can go ahead and take 2 points of damage. And remember, if you want to defend it, just call it out, but you didn't have your fast action anymore, so I just rolled it.
Are we in a new round?
Nope, not yet.
Not yet.
Okay.
So I think technically we went out of order, and the dog should have gone before Jeremy, but no big deal. Okay, start of the new round. Everyone's got your fast action and your slow action back, so if any of you are getting attacked and you want to defend, just say you want to defend, and we can do that. So I think who had 1 or 2?
2.
All right, so go ahead. You've got Gunner right next to you untying the man. You've got a dog biting your leg.
I would like to get this dog tied up.
You want to tie up the dog? Okay.
Yes. Very unlikely. Oh.
Need a new dog.
It'll be right back.
Okay. I'm very unlikely to
see what happens.
Like hurt the dog.
I think you just put a cloth over top of it.
I keep one handy.
That's clever. I got to do that. Okay, so
No, suddenly we all go dark.
we'll say make that. Let me think. Force probably because you're using your hands to try to wrap them up. We can do force
Okay.
to see if you can manage to tie. There's some Gunner just managed to throw some ropes on the ground from untying the old man, so you can quickly grab them. Let's say with your fast to grab them, and then you're slow to try to wrap up the dog.
All right, I'm gonna have to make this up because my other laptop just died, so I don't have my character sheet up anymore.
No.
I know, right? I was like, I don't
Roll
know.
5 dice. Just roll five dice. That's fine. 5 is like NPC for skill.
Bad.
Okay, 2 successes. Yeah, we're almost done. Okay, with an extra success, I'll say you can actually one success would have been a good way to start, and I would have probably wanted another. But with 2 successes, you can go ahead and kind of get to the point where the dog's not only is like kind of tied up, but you've got like a chunk of the knotted rope in its mouth, and it's gnawing on it and not able to like bite anybody.
Yeah, walk
It's-
over and be like,
It's still wild and crazy, but it's definitely not an immediate danger to anybody.
Yep.
So then at this point, I believe the next one was 3. Was that? I think no one was 2, right? Or no,
No.
one.
I was 2.
shoots
Okay,
2.
so then-
Yeah, 3 is the bad
Okay.
guys.
And so the guy who is right next to Joe's not here. He will use the fast action to also draw some kind of hammer, and then I'll go ahead and I'll attack with that really
It's
fast.
hammer time. Oh no.
So if Joe were to defend hypothetically, he would roll a contested. It depends what he'd had. If he has a weapon out, he can roll close combat, or if he was doing it barehanded, he can roll force. And basically, the amount of successes that Joe rolls are subtracted from the amount of success the attacker rolled, and if it gets to 0, the attack doesn't go through. That's basically the idea. So the who is this? This is the man. This is a big roll. This is 8 dice actually. So this one guy, his hands are
There you go, Joe's
smarting.
back. You're defending, Joe.
Joe, why don't you go ahead?
I'm being attacked.
Let's just do this. Let's just do this to just kind of show how this works. Go ahead, since you have a knife on you, roll your use your fast action to parry. So roll a close combat plus your physique. So do like another close combat test, and you can take +1 for the knife.
Oh, okay.
So it's knife plus attribute. Okay.
Oh no.
You are allowed to push this if you would like, but in doing so, that means you re-roll the dice, but you have to take a condition to do so.
Mm.
And I'll probably take more than 1 if I'm hit.
I'm rolling
It's
8
hard to
dice. I'm rolling 8 dice, so there's a decent chance I'm going to roll 2 successes.
You're not
Okay.
me, so the chances are against you.
If I'm rolling, I mean, Dan and I are in the same game, so it's probably going to be 7 successes.
Yeah.
All right, so I'll roll my 8, and I rolled 0. And so you managed
Wow,
to
what are the odds?
effectively,
Wow.
you absolutely managed to effectively like parry away the hammer. 4.
Awesome.
Who's 4? 5.
I am 4.
I'll go ahead and figure out how to get this on the turn order for next week. But go ahead, Dan.
I'm 4 in this case.
One guy is still here. The dog seems to be taken care of by Sigrid. Gunner has already started freeing the hostages. You can see that Caius is yelling about stop up to like the balcony for some reason.
Would I be able to try and make my way to the balcony?
You don't see a staircase in here. You passed a dumbwaiter, but you haven't passed any stairs.
Okay, so probably not something I'm going to deal with just yet. Let's just deal with the guy at hand then, because I want another dog.
Sounds good. All right. So you go up to the one guy. Do you got a weapon or something you want to hit him with?
My good doggo's here.
Okay.
If we'll let that still
Yeah,
stand.
we'll do that until I know different. So that's good for now.
Did
Otherwise,
anybody
I'll-
respond to my inquiry, by the way, about what is going on?
No, they're
Otherwise,
like
I'll come
they
over the knife
seem
later.
they don't seem quite right. They seem like angry and strange and concerned with something else. How do we roll? 1?
an entire success.
Okay, and so you can see that with the dog kind of pouncing on top of him, it's kind of fallen back, hits his head on the table. You can see the dogs right on top of him, keeping him down on the ground as well. All right, so the last thing is that there was this other figure running upstairs. Who is next on the docket? Is it Chuck? Chuck.
So it's just the dude going upstairs. That's all that's left.
Yeah, that's all that's left.
I guess I'm going upstairs.
Okay, so there's the only way you saw that would have gone up is a dumbwaiter in the back, but you guys came in the back, so you don't see any stairs. You would presume there's probably stairs somewhere further into the house.
They're probably closer to the front door.
Yeah, and there is a door on the other side. You can spend your whole turn if you want, running to the other side of the room and through those doors if you like.
How far up is that second floor? Like height wise from where we are down here? It's open, right? So like
it's open.
You can see. Yeah.
Yeah. If one person got on another person's shoulders, you could probably get it. If you tried to do like a running jump from one of the tables, you might be able to get it. I would want to test. It's doable, but it would require a test.
As the sickly, low physique person, I'm not in a position to help lift someone up. So I'll just use my turn to run over to that other door and see what's in there.
Good deal. Hey, Vorlok, how's it going? All right, so you run. You open the door. You want to open the door and go through?
I just want to open the door. I don't want to go through.
Looks to be some kind of hallway. If you peek around to the right, you can see that there is an open doorway that leads to some other portion. If you hold the lantern out, there's like all sorts of like old statues and stuff like that. There's spider webs, artwork that's been covered with sheets. I believe next it's Bert.
Yeah, I'm gonna hop up onto the table, run along it, get a good running jump, and try to leap and grab the balustrade and pull myself up.
Beautiful. Let's. I'll let you. You can pick what you want. We'll say either force or.
How about just physique and agility?
Physique and agility sounds good to me. Force is usually pulling. Agility is more like jumping. Does that make sense?
Got a 6.
Okay, so you manage to get up there and you grab it, and you're kind of like hanging there. You've successfully done it. We'll say you can begin to pull yourself up, and you can see that there's a figure that's running down the hall to your right through an open doorway. You can see they're just running. There's a little lantern that looks like they're holding out now, like a hooded lantern, and it's only kind of illuminating what's in front, and it seems to be running for like a window. There's a window you can see like right down like through a couple doorways.
They could break one of our freaking windows.
So they're trying to get out of here. So then the dog would technically go next before Jeremy's character. Unless Joe. Joe, have you gone yet? What's your number, Joe?
7.
Okay, you're up, Joe.
Okay.
Does not appear to be any immediate threats in the area anymore.
In this room. Okay. Has anyone looked at if the people are injured?
Yes. Yeah, both Gunnar managed to untie the older man. Sigrid is kind of looking over them as well. She's nearby.
Okay.
Yeah, and there's also a body at the other end of the room.
Yeah. And so the only thing that we have left is that one person that was running away from the balcony. Which
I would imagine between Gunnar and Caius, that's been shouted, and everyone is probably aware of it.
Okay. I guess I'll assist running after that.
Okay.
I'll probably need help getting hoisted up though, or something. So I don't have a whole lot of physical.
Somebody
stats.
This is a perfect opportunity where someone could say, like Jeremy, for instance, he's the only one left in the turn order. Jeremy could assist. So you say you assist, and now you would roll the same check I asked Bert to roll.
All right, so I really just puts his hands out and kind of looks away.
Okay.
And so you can go ahead and roll the same thing that Bert just rolled. And then you would get an extra die from the assist that you're getting from the writer.
Let's see what I get.
So agility plus physique plus 1.
Oof.
You can push this if you want, but in doing so, you would have to take a condition.
No, I think I'll just fail it.
Just gotta stumble into Jeremy.
So you
instead.
hop up, you miss. Jeremy's character has got dirt all over his hands now. You look up at Gunnar and marvel at his athletic ingenuity.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it looks like the good professor has gone one direction, our detective's gone the other.
Mhm.
Gunnar may have shouted that he's potentially going to try and jump out a window, so I'm just going to go out the exit or go out the way we came in.
Okay.
Just so I can be looking around the outside in case somebody does pop out a window.
Okay. So this is what I'll say. Anybody who's now gonna try to continue the chase, go ahead and just roll an agility physique test, because it's sort of, there's somebody he's literally fleeing, and so you're trying to chase. You're trying to keep chase. So I think there were 3 or 4 of you that were thinking of doing that. So, and if you're staying around with the survivors.
Oh, I didn't mean to click on that.
Yeah, seeing as there was no stairs there, I'll probably just head back to the table and work with the doctor.
Okay.
Or whoever wasn't running.
Okay.
I'm
Who's
not
that
ready.
pursuing?
The incredibly sickly aristocrat somehow keeps pace.
Okay.
Nice.
So we'll kind of break a little bit from like normal standard combat initiative here. So Gunnar, when you get to you see him, this figure, like stop for a second, like look to the right, and then continue running. And as you're following, you see that apparently they were eyeing the stairs, thinking about going down, but maybe heard Chuck's door opening or something like that, and kept running, and just dove like superhero, like with fists going out through a barricaded window, and has fallen down into like the vegetation below. Looking at that fall, maybe you're like second guessing it for a second, and that allows him to just get away. Jeremy's character, however, you're hustling around the outside as fast as you can, somehow, just in time to see this figure get up to the gate that you guys had opened up, and is like kind of running. You can continue to chase. You can see Gunnar up in the window, lantern there, a good 20 feet up, and like looking down, and you track the eye line, and you can see this figure has already made it out towards the gate. Do you want to keep chasing, Jeremy?
Yes, although I will also call out in case there's anybody out on the street that can assist.
Okay. You start calling out. You run out into the street. You can see that this person is definitely outpacing you, but you can see that there's a few other people down the street. You start shouting out. They look at you, and they maybe go to maybe like, hey, why are you running? And gets pushed to the side. And because it's 9:40, I'm going to say he gets away. For 9:40 for us, I'm going to say he gets away. But we'll revisit it. Back in the room, just to sort of put a bow on this before we end for tonight. Back in the room, you take a look at the 2 figures that you managed to knock out. Both of them appear to be kind of scarred up a bit. You start to kind of look at some of their arms, and you see like there's a lot of blood stains on their chests. And when you kind of pull apart like the shirts, you can see that there's some sort of strange symbol that has been carved into the chests themselves, both of them. Something demonic, satanic maybe. You can see the same thing has happened to the other figure that was laying on the table, except theirs seems to be more of a ritualistic killing, and they do not appear to be alive. The old man introduces himself as Algot Frisk, and he is incredibly thankful for you all and your assistance, and gives you his services. And he introduces a friend, not kind of a friend of his, somebody who were here, like he was here earlier. She was kind of dragged in. There was a third person, and they're kind of weeping at this point because it was the person laying. But they described that there was a madman in here, and it wasn't these 2 idiots. These were just the muscle. There was some other kind of man. He looked strange. He could control. He put ideas in our heads, and he did strange things. And you all in your back of your minds are realizing things might be a Vaesen, might be magic. Something is kind of perking your interest. But we'll go ahead and try to end it there, and we'll kind of pick up on a mystery next week. And this will be kind of a thing we might be able to tap into as well, because it's getting pretty late. So that is Vaesen so far. All right.
Fun. Excited.
Welcome
I need
to
know
our
if I
new
can make
home.
another dog minion though.
And you all, by the way, the woman is a freebie as well. I'm giving you a freebie contact. So you now have 1 contact. You have 1 personnel. Algot Frisk will be your personnel.
And another dog.
And you have another dog, apparently. So many dogs.
My dog.
All right. So yeah, that's that. All of you can go ahead and take a XP, just to have an XP for participating in the session. We didn't really get into like dark secrets or anything yet, but we'll say that. And that'll be it for tonight. Next week, we'll actually start on a proper mystery. We'll actually do the preparation phase. We'll journey, and you'll start doing an investigation, like a literal investigation into something. And periodically, we might come back to who was this masked figure who was doing weird magic in your home. Might come back to that. So thanks for bearing with that for a little bit longer than I intended. But it was helpful to kind of...
It's only 1 o'clock in the morning here.
Yeah.
Appreciate that. Okay, so if you want to do just a quick thing, Defenders, what do you got going on this week?
Defenders, come find us Wednesday for some Hyperborea. Bert, Jeremy,
Me.
Jeff.
Yeah.
Dan, were you in that?
I am.
Yeah, it's a whole bunch of us.
Yeah.
Astonishing Swordsmen and Sorcerers of Hyperborea. We're going to be
Wow.
kicking off Rats in the Walls. So I have to do some reading.
Nice.
And then we'll be back on Friday for Joe's 5th edition game.
Cool.
My HP Paladin.
For adventures in Lollygagging, we've got I'm playing obviously in Chuck's Wednesday game, but then Thursday on the Zweihander RPG channel, we're playing
Unsettled Stem.
Zweihander. And then on Saturday this week, we're playing more Free League games. We're playing Mutineer Zero this week, I think. So that'll be fun. That's on this channel here. So follow and get the announcement. Bert, you want to plug your podcast again?
Sure. On Of Steam, Steel, and Murder, which is an audio-only podcast. We are currently playing the Dresden Files with Fate Accelerated. We are playing Savage Worlds Wise Guys, and we are doing an Indiana Jones old school TSR game, as well as BX Dungeons and Dragons. So lots of goodness going on there.
Awesome. And Jeremy, anything for Grim and Perilous?
Grim Paris Plays. We'll also have a Mutiny Zero, though. We usually come on a little bit after you guys finish up.
Yeah, I think we raid normally. We kind of like transition perfectly. Like we hand over the baton. So you can get like 4.5 to 5 hours worth of Mutineer Zero games on Saturday if you start with us and then go to them. It's pretty nice.
It's delightful.
Okay. Thanks for everyone who hung out in the channel tonight and listened and watched. Thanks for those of you who are watching this later. Catch us next week when we start the mystery proper. So same time, same channel. And yeah, that's it. Hey, everybody.
Good night.
Later.